Chapter 208. Then you can think of it as me wanting to amaze the world and capture your heart. But before I could realize it, the Xiao family had an accident. Xiaoqin couldn't explain his own problem. It was difficult to explain his own things, so it was better to make up a random reason. I don't believe that you are so shallow. You can endure for so long just to please a girl? Xin Jingxian was annoyed, but she didn't believe it. She was still very happy after listening to Xiao Chen's words. She wanted to say that in fact you have realized it, but, in fact this is normal. Chao Yuliang also hid his strength. He thought that I didn't know. In fact, I know that he is a martial artist at the 3rd level of inner power. Xiao Chen said, the children of every big family are not as simple as they look. Just like you seem to be very good to everyone. In fact, in your heart, you didn't like me pestering you before, right? No, I still have a good impression of you. Xin Jingxian was talking about the present, not the past. Let's not talk about me. Let's talk about you. Your Xin family is so powerful. Why do you want to marry the Chen family? Qin Jinping, that idiot, is it interesting for you to be with him? Asked Xiao Qin. Don't curse. Xin Jingxian said, although he is a little stupid, you shouldn't say it out loud. It's very hurtful. You are his fiancé, okay? How did you become on the same side as me? Xiao Qin couldn't help but laugh after listening. We are now friends for life and death. Xin Jingxian said, in contrast, our relationship is better. I'm very happy that you said that. Do you know? I used to dream of being alone with you, such as going on a trip together, said Xiao Qin. Don't say internet slang that I don't understand. Xin Jingxian continued, you're just trying to make me happy. I don't see how happy you are right now. If I don't talk to you, you'll fall asleep. You don't look happy at all. I'm just too shy to say it. Xiao Qin said with a smile, but in his heart he thought that Xin Jingxian also knew how to joke. It turned out that she was also an ordinary girl. After being in close contact with the goddess, he realized that she was also an ordinary person. I don't believe it. Xin Jingxian said, Xiao Qin, can you tell me about yourself? What's going on with your father? How would I know? Xiao Qin shrugged helplessly. If I knew, I wouldn't have been kicked out of the Xiao family. They said that my father made a mistake in leading the trial team, but who knows the truth? Xin Jingxian wanted to say that you were kicked out of the Xiao family because of the Qing family and the Xiao family, right? However, she still didn't say it. If this was the case, it wouldn't work if she exposed it. But if Xiao Qin couldn't be with Cheng Menjing, wouldn't she be the culprit? Cheng Menjing would definitely think that she had ulterior motives, right? Next time, when I go back to the Shen family, I will help you inquire about it. Xin Jingxian said, the Shen family still has a lot of information channels. Thank you very much. Xiao Qin said gratefully. He didn't have any official channels now and he was alone. It couldn't be better that Xin Jingxian, as a member of the Shen family, could inquire about information for him. You don't have to be so polite to me. We are friends of life and death, said Xin Jingxian. And yes, your Shen family is so powerful. Why did you choose to marry the Chen family in Songning? It doesn't make sense. If you want to marry, at least it should be with the Xiao family, right? Xiao Qin said. Puff, cough, cough. Xin Jingxian listened to the first half of Xiao Chen's sentence. It was still very serious. The latter half of the sentence made Xin Jingxian a little dumbfounded, but she was also a little happy. Isn't the Xiao family and the Qing family engaged before they were born? Why would I still get involved? Although the Shen family is very big, there are also many children in the Shen family. My father is responsible for expanding the business around Songning City. If he wants to be outstanding, he must unite with the local aristocratic families. At present, the Qin family is a better choice. The younger generation of the Qin family is not bad. Of course, I am talking about Qin Jingkuan. At least, my father thinks so. For the sake of family business, marriage? This reminded Xiao Qin of CFA. However, even if you expand, so what if you don't expand? Uncle Shen won't be so stupid to sacrifice your happiness in exchange for this little benefit, right? It's not a sacrifice of my happiness. I have to get married anyway, right? Moreover, I have never liked anyone. As long as they are suitable, we will be together. As Xin Jingxian said this, she paused and said, in fact, if my father can win the business around Songning City, it will also be a help to my younger brother. My younger brother is a genius in the younger generation of the Shen family. He is a strong competitor for the next young master. For my younger brother, my father and I came to Songning City to expand the business. Well, every family has its own troubles. Now, I feel that it will be more relaxing to leave the Xiao family. At least there isn't as much pressure as before. Xiao Qin smiled and said, actually, you can also give it a try. No, I have a younger brother. He is very excellent. I don't want his talent to be buried. Xin Jingxian said, my relationship with him is very good. When I was a child, when I was bullied, he always stood up for me. Although I am the elder sister, I am not as powerful as him. Well, maybe you haven't liked anyone and your thoughts are different from mine. Xiaoqin nodded and said, but the Qin family? How do I say it? I feel that you have to be a widow? You want to kill Qin Jinping? Xin Jingshuan's eyes widened. Consider it a kind reminder. Xiaoqin sighed, if I don't kill him, he will kill me. We are all friends of life and death. Do you want me to die or him to die? Then he should die. Xin Jingxian was a little speechless. But I always feel that killing is not very good. Can't we solve it in other ways? Do you think it can? Asked Xiaoqin. Forget it. Anyway, if he dies, then he dies. I will look for other families to cooperate with. Xin Jingxian accepted this fact. Then I am really sorry to you. When I can return to the Xiao family, I will suggest to see if I can marry with your family. Xiaoqin said, the Xiao family is stronger than the Qin family. Are you taking advantage of me? You want me to be your concubine? You are Qing Minjing's fiancé, okay? Xin Jingxian rolled her eyes at Xiaoqin. Didn't the Qing family break off the engagement? Xiaoqin suddenly thought of the arrogant young lady. He was really reluctant to be separated from her. If you can return to the Xiao family, it is estimated that you will continue the marriage. Xin Jingxian said, okay, let's stop joking. What we said today is a little secret between the two of us. After we go back, don't mention it again, and I think so too. Xiaoqin nodded. He didn't know why he told Xin Jingxian that he wanted to kill Qin Jinping, but Xin Jingxian shouldn't harm him. Otherwise, just the fact that he hid his strength was enough to bring him big trouble. Then, let's rest early. We still have to keep our strength and find a way to go back tomorrow. You don't want to occupy me on the island for a lifetime, do you? Xin Jingxian asked this as a joke, but she didn't know why she suddenly looked forward to Xiaoqian's answer. I want to, but the living environment here is too bad. Xiaoqin sighed and said, if there are no ships passing by tomorrow, I will take you to swim back. Although Xiaoqian's answer wasn't so perfect, Xin Jingxian was very satisfied. This was a peaceful night. Xiaoqin and Xin Jingxian sat on both sides of the fire, looking at each other and sleeping. Xiaoqin didn't cultivate. He didn't take any medicine today. He was delayed for a day, so he just took it as a rest. The next day, when the first ray of sunlight floated into the cave in the morning, Xiaoqin and Xin Jingxian woke up. The two looked at each other and smiled. I will go out and get you something to eat. Wait for me. Xiaoqin said as he stood up and walked out of the cave. However, the first thing in the morning, Xiaoqin had to solve the problem of water in his body. Facing the sea breeze, Xiaoqin began to pee. Because Xin Jingxian was still in the cave, Xiaoqin didn't deliberately find a place to hide. Thinking of the heroic spirit in the past, I peed against the wind for 30 feet. Xiaoqin thought of a famous saying while peeing. Xin Jingxian was also a little anxious in the morning. Seeing that Xiaoqin had left, she tiptoed out of the cave. As soon as she went out, she heard Xiaoqin's heroic words not far away. She subconsciously looked over and saw Xiaoqin using the big bird to pee. She suddenly exclaimed. Xiaoqin was shocked by Xin Jingshuan's cry. He thought that something was wrong with Xin Jingxian. He turned around and happened to be face to face with Xin Jingxian. F***ck. Xiaoqin was instantly embarrassed. Xin Jingxian quickly turned around and ran back to the cave. However, there was a thought in her mind. Could Qing Minjing withstand such a big thing? She couldn't be too full, right? Xin Jingxian found that her thoughts were actually starting to become impure. Xiaoqin finished peeing awkwardly. He didn't dare to return to the cave. He quickly went to the coconut tree to pick the coconuts. Xin Jingxian waited for a while. When she felt that Xiaoqin had left, she quickly flashed out of the cave. When she saw that Xiaoqin was gone, she was relieved. After picking a few fruits, Xiaoqin was surprised to find that the wet patch on the ground had turned into two. He couldn't help but find it funny. He turned around and entered the cave. He didn't mention the previous embarrassment. He just put the coconuts in front of Xin Jingxian and said, "Eat some, then I will take you swimming back." "And have you washed your hands?" asked Xin Jingxian subconsciously. She was a person who liked cleanliness. "I washed in the sea. What about you?" asked Xiaoqin. Xin Jingxian blushed instantly. It seemed that Xiaoqin saw the pool of water outside. "We are girls. We won't touch it with our hands." Chapter 209. Xiaoqin was stunned and regretted asking such an awkward question. He didn't think so much before, but how awkward would Goddess Jingxian be if he asked? Let's eat coconuts. Yes, coconuts are delicious. Xiaoqin changed the topic. Xin Jingxian was speechless. Did Xiaoqin become Jean Bebe? However, it resolved the awkwardness. She nodded and began to drink the coconut juice. In the morning and evening, the two of them ate some coconuts and went to the seaside. They couldn't contact the outside world here. They didn't know how anxious Cheng Menjing and the others were. Xin Jingxian and Xiaoqin wanted to go back as soon as possible. However, in the vast sea it was really difficult to see a ship passing by here. After waiting for a while, he did not even see the shadow of a ship. Xiaoqin was a little impatient. He had already recovered his peak physical strength and could swim back in one go. It was just that it would be too shocking. He could let Xin Jingxian know of his strength, but he definitely could not let Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinping know of it. Jingxian, hang on me. I'll swim back with you, Xiaoqin said after thinking for a while. Are you sure about the direction? Qin Jingxian asked. Isn't there a place where the sun rises? Xiaoqin pointed at the sun and said, I know the general direction but I can't be that precise. However, I don't want others to see me swim back with you. Are you afraid that I'll embarrass you? Xin Jingxian asked subconsciously. Sometimes, smart women would be stupid in front of the men they liked. Xin Jingxian was like that. Damn, I can't wait to show off. I mainly don't want others to know my strength. Xiaoqin didn't know what Xin Jingxian was thinking. He thought she was teasing him. You're right. If your daughter sees us, she will think there's something going on between us. It won't be good if she mistreats you when we go back. Xin Jingxian was happy again. She found that she was now prone to emotions. She already knows that I like you. Xiaoqin shrugged indifferently. Xin Jingshuan's face was slightly red. She pursed her lips and raised her head to look at the distant sea. She was a little lost in thought. After she returned, her relationship with Xiaoqin would be over, right? Because they couldn't reveal their secrets, they couldn't show that they were familiar with each other. Hey, what are you thinking about? Xiaoqin was speechless. It wasn't easy for me to confess to you. You don't have to pretend to ignore me even if you don't agree, right? Xin Jingxian was stunned. Don't joke around. You weren't like this when you liked me in the past. Okay. Xiaoqin smiled bitterly. Did I go too far in pretending before? It seems like I have been addicted to it. Did they turn on the anti-addiction system? Let's go back. I'm afraid that Minjing will be anxious, Xin Jingxian said. I'm thinking it's so far away. Can I swim back? What if I run out of energy halfway? Xiaoqin was actually a little worried. He looked like he was asking Xin Jingxian, but in fact he was asking the Elder Heaven Ancestor. Your energy is beyond your imagination. Keep it up. Xin Jingxian raised her small fist. Hey Goddess Jingxian, I realized that after I got familiar with you, you aren't a goddess anymore. Xiaoqin realized that Xin Jingxian was actually a normal and cute girl. Isn't there a saying? Behind every goddess, there is a man who has never treated her as a goddess. Xin Jingxian chuckled. Isn't that saying? Behind every goddess, there is a man who will *ck her until she wants to puke. Xiaoqin said weakly. Annoying. Xin Jingxian said angrily, how dare you *ck me until I want to puke? Xiaoqin scratched his head. I'm just kidding. Xin Jingxian realized that the topic she and Xiaoqin talked about was a bit too much. In fact, she and Cheng Minjing usually talked about similar topics. The topic between best friends was taboo for men. No one would leak it out. I know. Xiaoqin sweated. We are really friends for life and death. There is no taboo topic. On the deserted island there are no outsiders. There are only you and me in the world. Naturally there are no scruples. After going back it won't work. Xin Jingxian sighed. If you have time, you can also go to Cheng Minjing's villa to chat with me. I'm happy to be your life coach. Xiaoqin said. No, you're leading me down the path of evil again. Xin Jingxian pursed her lips and smiled. Hee hee. Xiaoqin smiled. The awkwardness from before was resolved. However, Xiaoqin asked Elder Heaven Ancestor in his mind, Elder Heaven Ancestor, is it okay if I swim back now? As long as you don't encounter a shark, there should be no problem. Elder Heaven Ancestor said, besides, don't you have the goddess's power? What if we encounter a shark? Xiaoqin asked. What is your sixth sense for? If there is a shark in front, why don't you go around it in advance? Do you want to hit it? Elder Heaven Ancestor was speechless. Oh. Xiaoqin found that he still wasn't used to the powerful identity of a cultivator. Everything was from the perspective of a martial artist. Jingxian, do you want to lie on my back or hug me? Xiaoqin asked. Either is fine, but let's do it in front. I don't feel safe at the back, Shin Jingxian said. It's up to you. Xiao Qin stood on the beach and pointed at himself, signaling Shin Jingxian to hang on him. Although she knew that Xiao Qin was taking her to swim back, she was still a bit hesitant. She hesitated for a moment before walking over and lying in Xiao Qin's arms. This action was like a hug between lovers. Felt good. Then Shin Jingxian was like an octopus, clinging onto Xiao Qin's body, and Xiao Qin dragged the shark into the sea. Do we have to drag the shark? Shin Jingxian felt that it was too hard for Xiao Qin to swim with only his feet while holding her in front and dragging the shark. It was not a swimming posture at all. Yes. Bebe wants to eat it. Xiao Qin nodded. You are so nice to her. Shin Jingxian was a bit envious but not too envious. Bebe is a very nice person. She has helped me a lot in secret during this period of time, Xiao Qin said. Does she know about you too? Shin Jingxian could tell that Jean Bebe and Xiao Qin were unbelievably close, and their personalities were the same. They were greedy for money and food and liked to play tricks on people. Maybe a little. Xiao Qin was not sure either. But she and eldest lady can be trusted. They won't betray me. What do you mean? Can I? Shin Jingxian was a bit unhappy. Of course not. Xiao Qin added hurriedly. He found that there was something wrong with Shin Jingxian today. She often behaved like a little girl. With the help of his powerful six senses, Xiao Qin could have found the shore where Qing Minjing was after swimming back, but he did not want Qiao Yuliang to see him. Therefore Xiao Qin chose the sea area 1 kilometer away from them. They didn't encounter any danger on the way back. When they reached the shore, Xiao Qin was so tired that he laid down on the beach. Shin Jingxian also laid down beside him. The two of them looked like a couple who came to sunbathe. I didn't expect that you could come back alive. Xiao Qin, you are excellent. Shin Jingxian looked at the blue sky and said quietly. Thank you for the compliment. Xiao Qin rested for a moment and stood up. Let's go back. When we get there we will say that we were rescued by the patrol boat. They also helped to catch the shark. Shin Jingxian nodded. The two of them walked side by side along the coastline. Xiao Qin dragged the shark, and his other hand subconsciously held Shin Jingxuan's buttocks. Ah! Shin Jingxian was suddenly shocked when her buttocks were touched. She exclaimed and glared at Xiao Qin. What are you doing? When I dragged the shark, I thought we were still in the sea. It was a subconscious action. I was afraid that you would fall off me when I was swimming. Xiao Qin did not mean it. In fact, he really thought so. Although it felt good to touch in this situation, it was completely different from the feeling in the sea. Oh! Shin Jingxuan's heart softened at once. She thought that Xiao Qin had to drag the shark with one hand and hold her with the other. How hard must it have been for him to swim back? Even if he did it on purpose, so what? Moreover, it was not on purpose. It was for her. Xiao Qin moved his hand away quickly. Shin Jingxian felt a little disappointed. She wanted to say that he could still pretend that they were in the sea, but she did not have the courage to say it. If she said it, she was afraid that Xiao Qin would look down on her and no longer treat her as a goddess. 1 kilometer was actually not too far. In the blink of an eye they could see the cars and tents not far away. Qing Minjing sat on the beach early in the morning. She looked at the vast ocean in front of her, trying to see something from it. But how could she see anything? Hey cousin Minjing, go and eat something. It's almost noon. You are about to become a husband-gazing rock. Jean Bebe said. Xiao Qin treats you so well. Why aren't you worried? Qing Minjing frowned. Cousin Minjing, you finally admit that you are worried about my cousin-in-law too. Jean Bebe looked at Qing Minjing with a smile. I think I have the potential to be a prophet. My cousin-in-law will be fine. You've watched too many TV dramas, haven't you? Don't ever watch them after you go back. Qing Minjing glared at Jean Bebe. She was still joking at such a critical moment. In fact, I'm confident in my cousin-in-law. Jean Bebe calmed herself down. Recalling the miracles of Xiao Qin, she did not believe that Xiao Qin would be screwed just like that. The man that Jean Bebe thought highly of must be very awesome. But the sea is different from the land. It is full of unknowns. Qing Minjing sighed. Before she finished, she saw Jean Bebe stand up and run away from her. She immediately burst into fury. What's wrong with Jean Bebe? Why is she so impatient at such a critical moment? She was about to scold her when she heard Jean Bebe jumping and shouting, Cousin-in-law! Cousin-in-law! Chapter 210. Qing Minjing was stunned. Could it be that Jean Bebe missed Xiao Qin so much that she became mentally ill all of a sudden? However, when she saw Xiao Qin and Shin Jingxuan's silhouettes not far away, she immediately could not believe her eyes. They were back. Qing Minjing hurried to get up from the beach. Her previous gloominess was gone. However, she was a little unhappy when she saw Xiao Chen walking over with Shen Jingxian side by side with a shark in his hand. Humph, you only know how to pretend to be pretentious to please Shen Jingxian. Why didn't I see you trying to please me with a shark? I don't need to worry about you anymore. You deserve to die. If Xiao Chen heard her, Xiao Chen would feel wronged. The shark he was leading was for Jin Beibei. Jin Beibei's scream also attracted Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinping, who were not far away. Previously, they and Qing Minjing had the same thought and thought that Jin Beibei was hallucinating. However, when they turned around and saw Xiao Chen and Shen Jingxian walking to them safe and sound, they were immediately dumbfounded. What's going on? Why aren't they dead? Chao Yuliang came to himself after a long while and asked Qin Jinping sternly. I don't know. Qin Jinping was so scared that he almost peed his pants. His eyes widened in shock. That's impossible. They both fell into the sea. How could they come back? Damn it. Did you leave any loopholes at that time? They don't know that you helped them, do they? Fierceness flashed in Chao Yuliang's eyes. I don't know. When Li Shanying rescued me, they had already sunk to the bottom of the sea. Qin Jinping said, I got it. Were they rescued by someone else too? Are there other people nearby? Chao Yuliang asked with a frown. That's not true, but it's a dangerous area nearby. There should be patrol ships appearing at a fixed time every day. Qin Jinping said. Let's go and take a look first. Chao Yuliang cursed in his heart. Wasn't he just freaking lucky? If he didn't die, was there any justice in the world? Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinping pretended to be concerned and ran over. Chao Yuliang said, Xiao Chen, are you all right? We've been waiting for you here for a day and a night. If you hadn't appeared, we would have gone to the warrior guild to seek help. Is that so? Xiao Chen laughed. Then you really underestimate me. How can I die? I just went on a date with goddess Jingxian in the sea and came back after the date. His words made Qing Minjing frown slightly. Although she knew that Xiao Chen must be talking nonsense, she still felt a little uncomfortable. I'm here worrying about you and you went on a date? Shen Jingshuan's face blushed slightly as if what Xiao Chen said was true. Wow, haha, see. I told you that my cousin-in-law is a transformer. He's back. Jin Beibei didn't see through Qing Minjing's thoughts and shouted happily. Humph, who knows if he was lucky enough to be rescued by a fishing boat? Qing Minjing curled her lips, but she was a little curious. How did Xiao Chen come back? It's not a fishing boat. It's a patrol ship that helped us catch a shark, Xiao Chen said as he pointed at the shark in his hand. In fact, how could a patrol ship help Xiao Chen catch a shark? They all had other jobs. However, neither Qing Minjing nor Chao Yuliang knew about such things. Therefore, they didn't care about it at all. They just thought that Xiao Chen was lucky. Jin Beibei, on the other hand, looked at the shark in Xiao Chen's hand where a piece of meat had been cut off and was deep in thought. Xiao Chen was rescued by a patrol ship. Not only did they help him catch a shark, but they also asked him to cut off a piece of the shark's meat and cook it for him? However, Jin Beibei didn't say anything. She only pretended to be happy. Oh, my cousin-in-law has been thinking about me. I'm so happy. Seeing that Xiao Chen and Shen Jingxian didn't mention the details of falling into the water and didn't suspect Qin Jinping, Chao Yuliang was instantly relieved. However, when he was relieved, he heard Xiao Chen ask, Qin Jinping, how did you come back? I thought you were dead and you were planning to marry your widow. Shen Jingxian almost kicked Xiao Chen. Widow? Can't you have a little bit of integrity? I haven't married Qin Jinping yet, okay? Oh, I know how to swim. I wanted to save you, but I found that you had all sunk to the bottom and couldn't see anyone. I could only swim by myself. Finally, I saw a ship and was saved. Qin Jinping said awkwardly. Oh, I see. I thought you didn't want Shen Jingxian anymore and gave her to me. Xiao Chen said. How could that be? It wasn't arranged by my family. However, Boss Xiao Chen, if you are powerful, you can also try to pursue her. Qin Jinping said helplessly. He didn't want Xiao Chen to touch Shen Jingxian at all. However, he had to say something polite at this time. Oh, I will think about it. Goddess Jingxian, you see that your fiancé doesn't mind. I will ask you out in the future. Xiao Chen nodded and said. Shen Jingxian pursed her lips and didn't know how to answer. However, Qing Minjing kicked Xiao Chen and said, Don't joke around. Why would Jingxian like you? Just be this lady's servant obediently, don't have such perverted thoughts. Oh. Xiao Chen nodded. Haha, since Xiao Chen and Jingxian are fine, that's great. Let's go and barbecue. We didn't have much to eat yesterday. Let's have a big meal today. Chao Yuliang said to smooth things over. Thus the few of them sat around the beach. Xiao Chen cut up the shark meat, and Qin Jinping brought over a few coconuts as if he was presenting a treasure. Jingxian, eat some coconuts. They're fresh, I just plucked them from the tree. They taste completely different from the ones you buy in the supermarket. Ah. Qin Jingxian was slightly stunned. She took the coconuts but she thought of Xiaoqin. However, now wasn't the time to fall out with Qin Jinping. She still had a great mission, which was to be an undercover and investigate the unspeakable secrets of Qin Jinping and Xiao Yuliang. So, on the surface, Qin Jingxian still took the coconuts. Come on, she took a sip but she almost spat it out. It was completely different from the coconuts that Xiaoqin gave her. This wasn't as good as the coconut juice sold in the supermarket. How does it taste? Isn't it delicious? Qin Jinping looked at Qin Jingxian expectantly. It's okay. Qin Jingxian nodded against her will. Ah, that's right. This is a pollution-free natural coconut from the beach. I specially customized it for you. How about it? Qin Jinping said proudly. Thank you. Qin Jingxian wanted to say, what a broken coconut. Tastes terrible. It's not as good as the one given by Xiaoqin. But her character was like this. She couldn't say those hurtful words. You're welcome. Let's go to eat shark meat. I'll roast some for you. Qin Jinping said. While Xiaoqin was busy roasting the shark meat for eldest lady and Jin Beibei, Qin Jinping had to roast the shark meat for Qiao Yuliang and Qin Jingxian. After all, he was their little brother. Because the shark meat roasted by Xiaoqin was enhanced by primordial qi, Qing Minjing and Jin Beibei enjoyed it very much. But Qin Jinping didn't. The shark meat was not delicious in the first place. Besides, the cooking conditions were limited. The shark meat roasted by Qin Jinping was fishy and hard. Qin Jingxian almost threw up after taking a bite. How could it taste so bad? However, when they were on the deserted island, the shark meat roasted by Xiaoqin tasted so good, while the shark meat roasted by Qin Jinping tasted so bad. Why was there such a huge difference between the shark meat and the shark meat? Also, it was not as simple as not tasty. It would be nice to say that the shark meat tasted bad. It was simply hard to swallow. However, when Qin Jingxian saw that Jin Beibei and Qing Minjing were enjoying the shark meat, she was confused. Could it be that the shark meat roasted on a small cart was still so delicious? Was it because of the shark or the fire? On second thought, she was afraid that it was not the case. It must be because of the difference in their skills. Therefore, Qin Jingxian envied Qing Minjing and Jin Beibei very much, but she couldn't say that she also wanted to eat the shark meat roasted by Xiaoqin. Xiaoqin worked for Qing Minjing and she had Qin Jinping on her side. She said that, what would Qing Minjing think? I'm full. Qin Jingxian put down the shark meat after taking 2 bites. She really could not eat any more. I eat more. Qin Jinping saw that Qin Jingxian wasn't eating any more, so he picked up a piece of roasted shark meat and stuffed it into his mouth. However, he only took 1 bite and spat it out. What the F***ck is this? Why doesn't it taste good? Hey, your cooking skills are too lousy. The food cooked by my cousin-in-law is the best. Jin Beibei's mouth was full of grease. Well, seeing that Jin Beibei and Qing Minjing were really enjoying the shark meat and did not seem to be pretending, Qin Jinping was somewhat confused. Was his cooking skills really so bad? Jingxian, try the shark meat roasted by Xiaoqin. It's delicious. As Qing Minjing spoke, she picked up a piece of shark meat and gave it to Qin Jingxian. Then, I'll have a try. Qin Jingxian took it. In fact, Qin Jingxian was a bit sad in her heart. On the uninhabited island, Xiaoqin's food belonged to her. But now that she was back, she had to depend on Qing Minjing's mood. Qin Jingxian knew that Qing Minjing would definitely give it to her if she asked for it. But the problem was, how could she ask for it? What reason could she use to ask for it? What? It's really delicious? Qin Jingxian actually wanted to take a bite, but she still pretended to take a small bite tentatively. Then she kept praising, Minjing, you found a good servant. You're so lucky to have delicious food at home. Of course. Look whose servant she is. Only an upper-class person like me can have such a great chef. Qing Minjing said complacently, Jingxian, you can come to my house for dinner on weekends. Then I'm sorry to bother you. Qin Jingxian was very willing to go there, whether it was to eat or to see Xiaoqin. Qin Jinping had a helpless look on his face. This Xiaoqin was a servant, but he actually managed to learn such good culinary skills. It was really infuriating. However, when he thought about it, it was nothing much. The chefs in 5-star hotels were very good, but they were just chefs. How could they compare with him? Chapter 211. He was the young master of the Chen family, the heir of the young patriarch, and an extremely powerful existence. Xiaoqin was just an abandoned pawn. That, Boss Xiaoqin, can I have a taste? Qin Jinping looked at Qin Jingxian and the others eating happily. He was a little greedy and his mouth watered. Oh sure. Xiao Qin directly picked up a piece of roasted shark meat and stuffed it into Qin Jinping's mouth. However, he only added a small amount of primordial energy to make the shark meat taste slightly better. Even if Xiao Qin's culinary skills were superb, in a situation where there was no seasoning and equipment, and the shark meat was not very tasty, so Xiao Qin did not add primordial energy. It could only be said that it was slightly better than Qin Jinping's but not by much. Wah 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 wah. Qin Jinping jumped up from the ground with a whoosh, and jumped around. He pulled the shark meat out of his mouth with his hand and panted. It's hot, it's hot. Although he was a martial artist at the peak of the second stage of inner force, he had never trained his mouth. It was so hot that his mouth was spewing fire. Zhao Yuliang frowned. The purpose of today's outing was not achieved at all. It had now become a clown show. Qin Jinping had become an idiot who was teased by Xiao Qin. Thinking of this, Zhao Yuliang said helplessly, "All right, Jinping, how hot can it be? Hurry up and finish eating. Then we can think about what to play later." Okay. Qin Jinping was ready again. The shark meat was also cold. He took a bite and found that the taste was really good. It was much better than what he roasted. It seemed that Xiao Qin really had some skills. "You guys eat. I'm going to find a place to relieve myself." As Zhao Yuliang spoke, he stood up and walked not far away. He was not going to relieve himself, but to call Li Shaniying and ask what was going on. Xiao Qin was not dead at all. Zhao Yuliang said that he was going to the toilet, so naturally no one paid attention to him, but Xiao Qin's divine sense was locked on him. After the call went through, Zhao Yuliang said unhappily, "Young Master Li, this isn't right. Xiao Qin isn't dead at all. What are you doing? It's fine that he didn't die the first time, but now that he's back, I thought he was a zombie." "What? Xiao Qin is not dead?" Li Shaniying was stunned. He was already on the way back to Boundless Province. He was about to reach Weijiang City. Zhao Yuliang's call made him a little scared. "Really? Young Master Zhao, are you joking? What's the point of lying to you?" Zhao Yuliang said, "He was alive and kicking. It was said that he was rescued by a boat. Why didn't you watch him die and then leave? There were sharks at that time. We couldn't have been there all the time." Li Shaniying said, "But Xiao Qin is really lucky. Then you wait for me. I will go back to Weijiang City and then I will rush back. We will think of other ways." "Okay, I will wait for your news," said Zhao Yuliang. Although Xiao Qin was barbecuing quietly on the surface, Zhao Yuliang's words were heard by Xiao Qin. There was no other noise on the beach, only the regular sound of the tide. With Xiao Qin's keen sixth senses, it was easy to filter out this regular noise. In addition, Zhao Yuliang wasn't far away. He thought that he couldn't hear it, but after Xiao Qin filtered out the regular noise, he could still clearly hear what he was saying. "The family? Which family is this? Is it the person behind Zhao Yuliang?" However, listening to Zhao Yuliang's tone, the two should be in a relationship of equal cooperation, but Xiao Qin couldn't remember when he had offended the Li family. Now it was certain that the previous high-altitude accident was also caused by Zhao Yuliang and this young Master Li. He just knew that this didn't make much sense. Xiao Qin was thinking about where this person came from. Surname Li. Xiao Qin tried hard to recall all the people with the surname Li that he knew, or the people he had offended. Li Shanpao. Xiao Qin finally thought of a name. It was Li Shanpao, the opponent he met in the car race. Could it be that this Li family was Li Shanpao's family? But thinking about the last racer was Zhao Yuliang, it was not difficult to understand that he had cooperation with the family behind Li Shanpao. It seemed that after going back, it was necessary to investigate Li Shanpao's matter. At least, Xiao Qin had to know the other party's background so that he could take precautions next time. Zhao Yuliang came back soon. Xiao Qin didn't look at him and continued to roast the shark meat in his hand. "Ah, everyone had a good time eating. Is there a share for me?" Zhao Yuliang said calmly. Xiao Qin didn't bother with him, but it made Zhao Yuliang a little embarrassed. He looked at Qin Jinping and said, "Did you roast it?" "Yes, but my roast is not as good as Xiao Qin's roast," Qin Jinping said quickly. Zhao Yuliang frowned and thought, "You are boosting others' morale and belittling your own. The same shark meat, the same fire, and the same seasoning. How big of a difference can there be?" Recently, Zhao Yuliang found that it seemed that nothing could compare with Xiao Qin. After Xiao Qin was driven out of the Xiao family, he was like a fish in water. He was doing quite well and surpassed Zhao Yuliang in everything. Of course, Zhao Yuliang had internal strength and was a warrior. But he felt that this advantage, which was better than Xiao Qin's, could not be exposed for the time being. At the critical moment it would be of great use. Taking a deep breath, Qiao Yuliang decided to bear it for the time being and wait for Li Shanning to come back. Although he and Qin Jinping could easily kill Xiao Qin here, they would be exposed and it would be difficult to explain to Qing Menjing, Jin Beibei and Xin Jingxian. Therefore he sat by the fire and began to roast the shark meat. After Sun Rongjin was trampled on by Xiao Qin, he was incomparably depressed. Today Redhead said that he had found some information from his investigation, so Sun Rongjin invited Redhead over. It just so happened that they could drive their yacht to the seaside to relax. The sea area where Xiao Qin and the others were at was not far from the neighboring city. Sun Rongjin was driving the yacht with Red Hair sitting next to him. They were sailing slowly on the sea. Young Master Jin, I found out that the person who fried Youtiao is from the Xiao family in Songning. He is the abandoned son of the Xiao family, young Master Xiao Qin. He has been kicked out of the Xiao family. Red Hair was very well informed. People in the underworld naturally had their own ways of gathering information. Xiao Qin used to be in Songning No. 1 middle school. He was classmates with Kerlin who sells noodles. Xiao Qin also has two underlings, Zhuing Xiong and Qin Jinping. Zhuing Xiong seems to be Xiao Qin's underling, but I heard that Qin Jinping has betrayed him and joined one of Xiao Qin's enemies. These were all things that were out in the open. As long as Red Hair paid attention, he could naturally find out from others. You're doing a good job. You're efficient. I'm very satisfied. Sun Rongjin patted Red Hair's shoulder. Then his expression turned ferocious. Motherf **Ker, it's fine if you're from the Xiao family, but you're just an abandoned son of a useless young master. How dare you act tough in front of me? I'll kill you the next time I see you. Especially when he heard that Xiao Qin and Kerlin were classmates and that Zhuing Xiong was Xiao Qin's underling, he was even more furious. So there was such a relationship? No wonder Zhuing Xiong beat him up last time. It was because of Xiao Qin. There was definitely something fishy going on between Xiao Qin and Kerlin. However, he didn't dare to offend Zhuing Xiong. Last time, Lu Dianbiao went and didn't return. Zhuing Xiong wasn't a simple person either. As long as it wasn't a blood feud, he could only pinch his nose and accept it. But Xiao Qin and Kerlin, little b****, wait until I kill Xiao Qin, then I'll kill you. Yeah, I was just careless last time. I lost Jingzhou because of my carelessness. Now, young Master Jin, you bring a second stage inner force bodyguard with you whenever you go out. If you meet Xiao Qin again, you'll beat him up. Red Hair bragged. Sun Rongjin suddenly cried out in surprise. The speed of the yacht also slowed down. He pointed at the shore not far away in surprise and said, Red Hair, look at the person barbecuing on the shore. Isn't that Xiao Qin? Let me see. It seems to be true. Red Hair was also shocked. He widened his eyes in surprise. I was just about to look for him and now he's here. Sun Rongjin smiled sinisterly. He wasn't afraid today. Behind him was a second stage inner force bodyguard. Wouldn't he beat Xiao Qin to death? Haha, it seems like even the heavens are helping young Master Jin. They've sent Xiao Qin to your doorstep for you to take care of. Red Hair flattered. Doc. Sun Rongjin steered the yacht toward the shore. Hearing the do-do-do sound of the yacht motor, Qiao Yuliang and Qin Jinping thought that Li Shanning had returned. However, when they looked up, they saw two unfamiliar yachts. They had never seen the people on them before either. Sun Rongjin got off the boat and rushed over aggressively with the red-haired man. Behind him was the martial artist bodyguard who was at the second stage of inner strength. They ran straight for Xiao Qin. Kid, enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. You're very capable, huh? Weren't you very arrogant last time? Let's see how you can still be arrogant this time. Sun Rongjin pointed at Xiao Qin and sneered condescendingly. Qing Minjing and Jin Beibei were stunned. They didn't know who Sun Rongjin was, but they knew Red Hair. Previously, Lu Junming wanted to run him over with a car. Could this person be Red Hair's helper? Qiao Yuliang and Qin Jinping were stunned. They didn't know who Sun Rongjin was scolding. It was difficult to tell who Sun Rongjin was targeting when they were together. You little shack. Your boss is being scolded. Why aren't you doing anything? Xiao Qin could tell the strength of the second stage inner force martial artist bodyguard with one glance. This kind of person wasn't worthy of him personally dealing with. With Qin Jinping around, Xiao Qin didn't want to expose his identity at all. Do you want me to never come out with you again? Huh. Qin Jinping didn't want to be a busybody. However, since Xiao Qin said so, he looked at Qiao Yuliang awkwardly. Qiao Yuliang felt helpless too. He finally understood that this guy was here for Xiao Qin. To be honest, he was happy to see Xiao Qin being trampled on. However, when Xiao Qin said that he wouldn't come out to play again if Qiao Yuliang didn't help him, It was a little F asterisk cat up. Chapter 212. This time Xiao Qin didn't die. After Li Shanian came back, they still had to plan the next assassination together. If Xiao Qin didn't come out, how could they assassinate him? Thinking of this, Zhao Yuliang had to nod to Qin Jinping. Qin Jinping got Zhao Yuliang's hint and immediately stood up in anger. Where did you come from, little B asterisk starred? Are you pretending? Without waiting for Sun Rongjin to speak, Qin Jinping slapped Sun Rongjin's face, making a loud and clear sound. Sun Rongjin was dumbfounded. Who was this? Why did he hit me the moment he came up? This was a grudge between me and Xiao Qin. Why did this kid get involved? What did it have to do with him? What are you doing? How dare you hit me? Don't you know who I am? Sun Rongjin was immediately angry. He said to the bodyguard behind him, Uncle Lan, take him down for me. Yes. Sun Dalan was a guard of the Sun family. He nodded and went to catch Qin Jinping. In fact, a Stage 2 Inner Force Master was already very powerful for ordinary people. Many ordinary people couldn't achieve anything in their lifetime. A martial artist said, Kid, are you going to surrender or do you want to suffer a little? Looking at the person who showed his Stage 2 Inner Force strength, Qin Jinping smiled disdainfully and spat on the ground. A Stage 2 Inner Force martial artist. Are you pretending to be a little B asterisk starred? You're so old but you're only at Stage 2 Inner Force. Don't you feel ashamed? N? Sun Dalan was stunned. At this time, Qin Jinping had already made his move. He slapped him again. This time he used all his strength, showing the peak of Stage 2 Inner Force. Sun Dalan was shocked. He didn't expect the other party to be a martial artist who was more powerful than him. He was shocked and wanted to dodge, but how could he dodge? After being hit by Qin Jinping, half of his cheeks swelled up and his teeth started to bleed. Who the hell are you? Sun Rongjin was also shocked. How did a martial artist appear beside Xiao Qin? Wasn't Xiao Qin a good-for-nothing? Moreover, he had already been kicked out of the Xiao family. How could he still have a bodyguard by his side? You don't even know me? I am boss Xiao Qin's little brother. Although Qin Jinping was a little stupid sometimes, he was not stupid. He was standing up for Xiao Qin, so he was naturally unwilling to announce his name and provoke an enemy for no reason. This person was obviously the son of a rich family. To be able to bring along a level 2 inner strength bodyguard, he must have some strength. Qin Jinping didn't want to find trouble for himself. Little brother? Isn't his little brother Zhu Yingxiong? Sun Rongjin was stunned. You also know Zhu Yingxiong? Qin Jinping was also stunned. He thought that this person knew Xiao Qin very well. He is another little brother of mine. His name is Qin Jinping and he is from the Qin family in Songning. Xiao Qin added. Anyway, it was good to divert Sun Rongjin's attention. What? Qin Jinping? Didn't you betray us? Sun Rongjin looked at Qin Jinping in astonishment. Why did this person come back to be Xiao Qin's little brother? Could it be that Xiao Qin's salted fish had turned over a new leaf? What betrayal? We're just all good now. This is Zhao Yuliang's brother Liang. He is now boss Xiao Qin's friend. Qin Jinping stretched out his hand and pointed at Zhao Yuliang. Zhao Yuliang frowned. This Qin Jinping was really stupid. Why did he expose his identity for no reason? Now he had become Xiao Qin's ally. He was happy to see someone teach Xiao Qin a lesson, but now he had to stand up for Xiao Qin. Good, you guys are really good. Remember, I am Sun Rongjin from the Sun family in a neighboring city. My uncle is the alchemist's son from the warrior guild. Just you wait. Sun Rongjin knew that he couldn't take care of Xiao Qin today, so he said some harsh words and planned to deal with it later. What's there to be afraid of? My dad is the vice president of the warrior guild. Qin Jinping said indifferently. Qin Jinping's father, Qin Huanling, was the vice president of the warrior guild. Of course, he was the lowest-ranking vice president. Basically, he didn't have much power, but he still had the status. The president and executive vice president of the warrior guild were appointed by the headquarters of the warrior guild. As for the other two vice presidents, they were selected from the local youths with great strength. Although the Songning Warrior Guild was in Songning City, it wasn't exclusive to Songning City. There were several cities nearby that didn't have a warrior guild. They were also under the jurisdiction of the Songning Warrior Guild. Therefore, one of the other two vice presidents was selected from another city, and the other from this city. Among the strong young people, Qin Huanling wasn't the only one who was relatively strong. Qing Minjing's uncle and Xiao Qin's father were also very strong, but they weren't keen on this kind of position of power. Instead, they liked to break through themselves in the trial and improve their martial arts strength. Qin Huanling was more keen on power, so he ran for the vice president. This was also one of the conditions that the Xin family, Jianghu, and the Qin family valued by the marriage. With the help of the warrior guild, it would naturally be easier to develop. Sun Rongjin's expression changed slightly. He suddenly remembered that he could bully Xiao Chen at will, but not Qin Jinping and Xiao Yuliang. Not to mention that they were the children of martial arts families, their fathers were also famous figures. The Sun family now relied on Medicine Master Sun, and they hadn't surpassed the Xie family yet. Naturally, they couldn't be arrogant in front of the martial arts families. He took a deep breath and said to Xiao Chen, "Okay, I don't believe that you can always be with them. I can't deal with them, but I can kill you, hee. I rarely go out alone." Xiao Chen said. "Then we'll see." After saying that, Sun Rongjin glared at Red Hair and the guard and said, "Let's go." Sun Rongjin left with his tail between his legs. He had tried to cause trouble for Xiao Chen twice in a row, but he didn't succeed. Most importantly, he lost face in front of his new followers, which made him even more unhappy. As he walked, he said, "Red Hair, keep an eye on him. If he goes to the morning market again and doesn't have any experts with him, call me over. I'll kill him." "Don't worry, young Master Jin. This Xiao Chen is quite good at borrowing others' strength. Last time I wanted to take care of him, but a rich second generation came and wanted to kill me. Now that I think about it, he might be Xiao Chen's friend. So if we want to touch him, we can only avoid these people." "That's right." Sun Rongjin nodded and got on the yacht. He glanced at Xiao Chen from the corner of his eyes, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. He hesitated for a moment and said, "Kidnapping, do you dare to do it?" "Kidnapping?" Red Hair was slightly stunned. Although he was a commoner, he only extorted and blackmailed. However, kidnapping was a bit too much and he really hadn't done it before. Xiao Chen is a smart kid. I thought about his last sentence. This kid might be purposely showing off to me. He said that he won't go out. I suspect that he's going to hide, so if we make a move, we won't have any chance. Sun Rongjin said. Then young Master Jin means to kidnap Xiao Chen? Red Hair couldn't figure it out. Since they had the ability to kidnap Xiao Chen, wouldn't it be better to just beat him half to death? Was there a need to capture him? Idiot, how can we kidnap him? We can kidnap Kerlin. Sun Rongjin chuckled. That Xiao Chen seems to like Kerlin a lot. He stood up for her several times and even instructed his underling Zhu Yingxiong to stand up for her. If we kidnap her and assign Xiao Chen to go alone, it's impossible that he won't come. When he comes, won't we be able to do whatever we want? That's true, but can he come? Red Hair was a little uncertain. Whether he comes or not, that's his business. If he doesn't come, I'll *CK Kerlin and play with her to disgust Xiao Chen to death. Sun Rongjin laughed lewdly. I'll play with his woman. Let's see what he'll do. Let him be cocky in front of me. Good idea. Red Hair thought about it. Anyway, this was Sun Rongjin's plan. If something happened, it would be Sun Rongjin who would solve it. What did it have to do with him? He was just a pawn. Moreover, Kerlin's family didn't have any background, so she probably wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. Therefore, he flattered, Young Master Jin, when do we make our move? Go back and plan. We'll make our move as soon as possible. Sun Rongjin thought of Kerlin's beautiful appearance and he was a little tempted. When Sun Rongjin said these words, his yacht had already sailed far away, so he couldn't hear what Sun Rongjin said. However, he knew it wasn't something good seeing Sun Rongjin and Red Hair whispering. However, Xiao Chen wasn't afraid of him. Boss Xiao Chen, how did you offend the Sun family? Qin Jinping waited for Sun Rongjin to leave before asking, if I didn't make a move, you'd be in trouble today. Next time, come eat and play with us. Otherwise it's too dangerous. Your little brother, can protect you too. Qin Jinping's meaning was obvious. He wanted Xiao Chen to come out with him next time. This way it would be convenient for Li Shaning to make his move. As for Sun Rongjin, from Qin Jinping's point of view, he and Xiao Chen had a small conflict, but it definitely wasn't a life-and-death feud. It was impossible for Sun Rongjin to kill Xiao Chen, so whether Sun Rongjin taught Xiao Chen a lesson or not didn't mean much to him. This guy wanted to do something bad to Kerlin, so he was beaten up by Zhu Yingxiong. His little brother, Red Hair, was beaten up by me because he spent fake money in the morning market. That's how we became enemies. Xiao Chen didn't hide it because these were all things that happened in the open. Anyone could find out if they investigated carefully. If that's the case, then don't go out for a few days. If you want to go out, we'll go next weekend. You're older than elder, have an ancestor, so you have to stay at home for a few days. Qin Jinping meant that Xiao Chen couldn't go out. It must be very boring to travel between home and school. When the weekend came they could go out together. At that time, Li Shanning might think of a better way to deal with Xiao Qin. Okay, what are we playing next Saturday? We won't be racing, right? Xiao Qin asked casually. Chapter 213. By the way, does Li Shanpao, who raced with me last time, have anyone from the same sect left? Find another one to race with me. I find that I've been fascinated by racing recently. There are so many good cars at home that I can't feel comfortable without racing. Qin Jinping was somewhat speechless. Those cars were all his, alright? They were all set up by Jin Beibei and Xiao Qin. Qiao Yuliang on the other hand had an idea. Racing was not a bad way to get rid of Xiao Qin. As long as it was handled properly and planned well, it would work. Last time, Li Shanpao and Lin Chao were not familiar with the terrain. This time he could ask Li Shanning to make a plan in advance. Thinking of this, Qiao Yuliang opened his mouth and said, "Alright, I'll ask around. It seems that his fellow disciples aren't happy that you won against him. Because Li Shanpao died in an accident, they feel that you won disgracefully and want to challenge him back. I didn't think much about it at that time and turned them down. Now Xiao Qin, since you want to continue racing, that's not a problem. I can help you ask them." Well, it's better to pay them handsomely. Otherwise it will be boring. They can be dissatisfied but they have to pay me. My appearance fee is very expensive, said Xiao Qin. Qiao Yuliang cursed in his heart. F***ck, you're the one who wants to race, yet you still want an appearance fee? What kind of logic is this? However, he couldn't refuse. What if he said he didn't have the money and Xiao Qin wouldn't go? This was a good opportunity to kill Xiao Qin. Therefore he could only say, there will definitely be a prize for racing. Don't worry. If you win, the prize will be yours. That's not what I meant. If they are dissatisfied and want me to race with them, they should pay me some appearance fee in addition to the prize, right? Xiao Qin said shamelessly. Qiao Yuliang finally figured it out. Xiao Qin began to increase the price the moment he heard that his opponents were dissatisfied and wanted to challenge him back. What a cheap mouth. However, he could not go back on his words. He said gloomily, "Okay, I will certainly fight for you. Let's see if they will pay you." "Yes, just tell them that if they don't pay, don't expect me to participate in the competition." Xiao Qin said, "Qiao Yuliang, I believe that based on our many years of struggle, your IQ is more than enough to handle this matter. You are a highly intelligent person, right?" "Yes." Qiao Yuliang thought to himself, what does this have to do with intelligence? However, he couldn't say that he was stupid, so he could only nod his head. At this point there was no point in staying at the seaside. Qiao Yuliang was not in the mood at all. Although he wanted to pursue Qing Minjing, killing Xiao Qin was also the top priority. Looking at Xiao Qin's swagger in front of him, Qiao Yuliang wanted to kick him into the sea. Shen Jingxian looked at the conversation between Xiao Qin and Qiao Yuliang. After thinking about it carefully, she realized that Xiao Qin's words were all meaningful. It seemed that Xiao Qin was a reckless playboy and seemed to be very arrogant, but his words were always about making money. Shen Jingxian didn't know why Xiao Qin was so short of money. He asked for money every time. What did he need the money for? It could be said that Xiao Qin was still as extravagant as before. It was okay for him to ask for money, but Shen Jingxian didn't see that Xiao Qin was extravagant at all. Where did his money go? Was it to be used to marry a wife? Shen Jingshuan's face suddenly turned red. It's getting late. Today Xiao Qin and Jingxian also suffered a lot of shock. Let's go back early. Qiao Yuliang suggested, everyone still has to go to school tomorrow. Let's go back and rest. Qing Minjing didn't object. In fact, she wasn't in the mood for this trip. She had been worried about Xiao Qin and Shen Jingxian. They were back. Although the stone in her heart was lifted, it was difficult to have the relaxed and pleasant feeling of the trip. It was better to go back early and rest. Therefore they packed up their things and returned to Songning City. Qin Jinping was still sitting in the last row with a pile of luggage. Few of these luggage were useful. Qing Minjing and Jin Beibei didn't have time to do facial masks last night, so they brought all the luggage for nothing. Because it was on the way, they sent Shen Jingxian back first. However, when Shen Jingxian got off the car, Xiao Qin looked reluctant. He waved his hand to her and said, "Goddess Jingxian, let's go out together next time. Since Qin Jinping asked me to pursue you, then I will follow his order to pick up girls. We don't have to worry about being caught having an affair." Shen Jingxian blushed and took a look at Xiao Qin. She wanted to agree in her heart, but she said lightly, "Xiao Qin, don't say that. It's not good." He was just joking. In the past, Shen Jingxian always said what she wanted. But now she found that she had become bad. When Xiao Qin said that he wanted to have an affair with her, Her first reaction was that she was looking forward to it. Alas, how could this be? Sitting right behind Xiaoqin, Qing Menjing was about to explode. What did he mean? You're my servant now. Are you allowed to pick up girls? However, because of Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinping's presence, she chose to hold back and decided to explode after returning home. Seeing that Qing Menjing was gnashing her teeth, Jin Beibei chuckled and whispered to Qing Menjing, "Cousin Menjing, are you jealous?" Qing Menjing glared at Jin Beibei and said, "Don't talk nonsense. I just think that he is not qualified as a servant." Xiaoqin heard their conversation, but Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinping were too weak to hear it. They were helping Xin Jingxian carry her luggage under the car. Not qualified as a servant? Xiaoqin smiled bitterly. It seemed that he was already qualified, wasn't he? No wages, tireless work, and all-rounder. Young Mrs. requirements were really high. Was she choosing a servant or a fiancé? After Xin Jingxian left, Qin Jinping did not want to sit in the last row with the luggage. He wanted to sit in the front, but Xiaoqin was in the passenger seat, and Qing Menjing and Jin Beibei were in the second row. He did not want to sit next to Jin Beibei. It would be comfortable to sit in the car, but he would lose another car. Qin Jinping walked to the passenger seat and glanced at Xiaoqin. Then he said, "Boss Xiaoqin, can I discuss something with you?" Xiaoqin asked, "What is it?" "Can I switch seats with you? You and Jin Beibei can sit together and I'll sit in the passenger seat?" Qin Jinping said. "Nowadays you can't switch seats without some benefits, can you?" Xiaoqin said. Qin Jinping was depressed. Damn it. But he still said, "Boss Xiaoqin, I'm your underling. Isn't it natural for a boss to take care of his underling? At the critical moment I'll help you to break through enemy lines. Just like today when I met Sun Rongjin the dumbass." "Oh okay. You said it. Next time I'm in trouble I'll come to you. If you don't come, I won't be friends with you anymore. I won't hang out with you anymore. We'll break off our friendship from now on," Xiaoqin said with a smile. "Of course, no problem." Qin Jinping was remorseful and hateful at the same time. Why the F***ck did he switch seats for no reason? Great, now he was trapped. He had to be ordered around like Xiaoqian's little brother. If he didn't do it, Xiaoqin wouldn't play with him. How was he going to get rid of Xiaoqin? However, when he thought about it, Xiaoqin was not far from death. When Li Shanian came back, it would be Xiaoqian's death. So, what was the big deal about being his underling for a few days? Okay, let's switch then. Xiaoqin got out of the car quickly. Then he opened the door of the second row and was about to get in. However, what greeted him was the eldest Mrs. angry look. "Go there." Xiaoqin had no choice but to go to Jin Beibei's side. Jin Beibei, on the other hand, welcomed him very happily. "Brother-in-law, I'm tired and want to sleep. Turn yourself into a pillow for me." As soon as Xiaoqin got into the car, he saw Jin Beibei lying on his lap. This feeling seemed very good. It was soft and soft. What was it? Oops. Xiaoqin thought of some evil things again. However, Jin Beibei's angle really made his imagination run wild. "Hey Beibei, do you know that men and women should not touch each other? You can lie on my side if you want to sleep." Looking at the angle where Jin Beibei fell, Qing Menjing also felt that it was a bit evil. However, she did not have a boob like Jin Beibei's. Beibei has fallen asleep. "Please leave a message if you need anything," Jin Beibei said. Qing Menjing knew that Jin Beibei was relying on Xiaoqin. She sighed slightly. Did Jin Beibei really like Xiaoqin? At least, Qing Menjing had never seen Jin Beibei being so intimate with any boy during the years that she had known Jin Beibei. However, seeing that Jin Beibei was sleeping soundly, Qing Menjing did not want to disturb her anymore. Therefore she just let her sleep. In fact, Jin Beibei was quite tired last night. Although she appeared to be very confident in Xiaoqin, she did not sleep well. Qing Menjing was also tired. She closed her eyes in a daze. After returning to the villa, Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinping left. They did not come to visit. In fact, Chao Yuliang also knew that he would not get any benefits if Jin Beibei was there. He might even be cheated. Jin Beibei had not been with Qing Menjing so frequently before. Was it because of Xiaoqin? Thinking of this, Chao Yuliang wanted to kill Xiaoqin even more. The appearance of Jin Beibei and Xiaoqin had seriously affected his plan to pursue Qing Menjing. After returning home, Qing Menjing and Jin Beibei went upstairs to rest, while Xiaoqin hurriedly decocted the medicinal materials. Xiaoqin felt it was a pity that he missed a whole day yesterday. His time was limited. The old demon of West Mountain was coming. How could he waste time? Chao Yuliang sent Qin Jinping back. Then he found a place to park the car by the roadside and took out his phone. His phone rang just now but he did not answer it because there were other people in the car. After calling back, Chow Yuliang immediately said respectfully, "Boss, are you looking for me?" "Chow Yuliang, didn't you say that you would cooperate with Li Shan's younger brother or elder brother to kill Xiao Chen? Why is Xiao Chen not dead yet?" The voice on the other side of the phone was a little annoyed. Chapter 214. Chow Yuliang was a little confused by the anger that was pouring down on his face. "What about you? If you can't do it, I will replace you. It's not good for me to deal with Xiao Chen, but it doesn't mean that I can't support a new puppet. I think Lu Jinming from Songning Second High School is not bad. What do you think?" "Boss, it was just an accident today. Xiao Chen was saved by someone." Chow Yuliang suddenly had a lot of cold sweat on his back. He knew that he was being monitored. At least, the boss knew that Xiao Chen was not dead, but he didn't have the time to report it. "My time is limited. 10 days. I will give you 10 more days. If Xiao Chen is not dead, you know the consequences." After that, the phone was hung up. Chow Yuliang held the phone with a ferocious expression. "Xiao Chen, you are very good. If Li Shanning is useless, I will do it myself. I will use my inner force, stage strength to kill you with my own hands." Chow Yuliang was very thoughtful. Besides the Chow family, the boss was the only one who knew that he had inner force. However, they wouldn't say it out. On the other hand, Xiao Chen was killed by a martial artist. Even if there was suspicion, it wouldn't be him. The only thing he was worried about was that Chow Yuliang was afraid of leaving some clues and traces when he took action, or being seen by others. Therefore, Chow Yuliang didn't do it himself. Moreover, he had to be wary of Lu Jinming's intervention and trouble. Shin family. Shin Jingxian came back. Although this trip was extremely dangerous, Shin Jingxian was very happy. It was a very fulfilling experience to go on an adventure with the person she liked. Shin Jianghu saw that his daughter was so happy. He thought that she had made progress with Qin Jinping, so he asked, "Xian, are you getting along well with Jinping?" "Golden Rock?" Shin Jingxian was stunned. She recovered from her memories and nodded lightly. "It's all right. That's it. I feel like there's nothing to talk about. Let's watch for a while more." Shin Jianghu was a little confused. Was Shin Jingxian so happy because of Qin Jinping? Then why? So he asked, "Xian, you look very happy. Did something good happen?" "It's nothing. The shark meat Xiao Chen cooked for Cheng Minjing was delicious," Shin Jingxian said. "Xiao Chen?" Shin Jianghu frowned slightly and said to Shin Jingxian, "It's best that you don't get involved in the matter between him and Cheng Minjing. The fight between the Xiao family and the Cheng family has nothing to do with our Shin family. It's not good for us to get involved. Oh, Cheng Minjing and I are best friends. It's nothing for us to play together." Shin Jingxian also knew that her father was right. It was best for the Shin family, who wanted to achieve great things in Songning City, to not offend anyone. "Yes." Shin Jianghu nodded and said, "If you and Jinping think it's okay, hold the engagement ceremony first." The Shin family sent a message that they need a batch of medicinal materials. However, each warrior guild market has a purchase limit. Therefore, they want to see if they can purchase more from Songning City through the relationship of Qin Jinping's father, Qin Huanling. I see. Shin Jingxian didn't have much resistance to the family's marriage arrangement in the past because she didn't really like anyone. She felt that life was just like that. Marriage and children, as long as the other half was okay, it was fine. Which disciple of a big family didn't think like that? However, since yesterday this idea had quietly changed. Wouldn't it be better if she could be with the person she liked? Moreover, Shin Jingxian didn't want to have a deep relationship with Qin Jinping anymore. She was feigning civility now just to go undercover. "Your second great-grandfather is going into closed-door training and needs a lot of elixirs. With the strength of our Shin family, it's impossible to purchase too much because it's a purchase limit. Even if we use our connections, it's impossible to purchase all of them in one place." Shin Jianghu said, "If this matter is successful, it will also give your brother extra points." Shin Jingxian suddenly fell into silence. Her brother's matter had always been the direction that she had been working towards. Her brother had the ability and strength. However, it was only because Shin Jingshuan's mother wasn't born in a big family that her brother's inheritance score was naturally lower than others. Therefore she had to make up for it through hard work. This was Shin Jianghu's regret, and also Shin Jingshuan's regret. However, her mother couldn't choose and her brother, Shin Jingmao, had never complained. He had been working hard silently. However, the more it was so, the more Shin Jingxian wanted to help her brother's efforts. She didn't want her brother's efforts to go to waste, so she agreed to her father's marriage with the Chen family. However, at that time Shen Jingxian didn't have a sweetheart. In addition, Qin Jingquan's strength was not bad, so she accepted it. But now Shen Jingshuan's heart, which had been calm for 20 years, had a slight ripple. She didn't want to marry Qin Jinping anymore. However, her brother's matter was a bit tricky, which made her very embarrassed. Dad, Qin Jinping is not as good as Qin Jingquan. I want to contact him again. Okay, but you have to be quick. Although your second great-grandfather may not be in closed-door training immediately, you still have to hurry up. Shen Jinghao said, if this matter is successful, then your brother will get a lot of points. If we want to buy the materials, can't we not go through the Qin family? Shen Jingxian hesitated and asked, I heard that the Xie family in the provincial capital is the supplier of the warrior guild. Recently they are fighting with the Sun family in the neighboring city. If we purchase directly through the Xie family, Jingxian, I am very pleased that you can notice these things, but you are a girl after all. You have to stay at home to take care of your husband and children. I know what you said. Do you think I don't want to use it? However, the Xie family's share of the supply of ordinary medicinal materials was reduced, not the supply of special medicinal materials. Everyone knows that although the price of special medicinal materials is high, the quantity can't be increased. The Xie family can't supply much, and the profits are all in the ordinary medicinal materials. Otherwise, do you think that with the Sun family's background and channels they can compete with the Xie family? Shen Jinghao sighed and said, most of these medicinal materials are directly supplied by the Hong Chamber of Commerce. I see. Shen Jingxian was a little disappointed. It seemed that no matter what, she couldn't get rid of Qin Jinping. Otherwise, who would have the connections to contact the Hong Chamber of Commerce? So, Xian, I can only inconvenience you for a while. Dad is also in a bit of a dilemma. Shen Jinghao sighed. If it was Shen Jingxian, she would definitely tell her father not to fight for it. However, for her brother she had to persevere. Xiao Qin finished decocting the medicinal materials. After drinking it he started to train crazily. However, what made Xiao Qin disappointed was that after training, the breakthrough didn't come as expected. Thinking about it, he didn't know when the old witch of Xishan would come. However, he couldn't delay it forever. What should come will come eventually. He sighed. His bank card only had about 2 million yuan left. After using the medicinal materials for another day, he would have to buy the medicinal materials the day after. He didn't know where to find money. Xiao Qin realized that the speed at which he was spending money was too fast. After training, Xiao Qin picked up his phone and started to do missions on the Warrior Guild app. He wanted to see if there were any good missions that he could accept. However, when he picked up his phone, he saw an unread message. It was actually from Xie Fei. She asked him to call her back when he was free and look for her if there was anything. The Xie family was holding a family meeting at the moment. Everyone was unprecedentedly nervous. Even Xie Fei, who was far away in Songning City, was summoned back to the provincial capital. All the children and elders of the Xie family were sitting in the meeting room. Everyone tell me. This time the Sun family is clearly trying to steal our business. Moreover, the method is very despicable. They used Medicine Master Sun's identity as the person who has the right to inspect the quality of medicinal materials to say that the quality of the medicinal materials supplied by the Xie family is not good. This greatly reduced our supply share. The Sun family will make up for the rest. Xie Chaonan said, if this continues, I'm afraid we won't be able to keep the remaining share of the Xie family. This is just the beginning. Brother, don't we have a good relationship with President Ma of the Warrior Guild? Can we ask him to speak up for us? The one who spoke was Xie Chaonan's younger brother, Xie Chaobei, who was also an elder of the Xie family. Medicine Master Sun's identity is special. Moreover, this is a matter of the market. Medicine Master Sun belongs to the Hong Clan Chamber of Commerce. It's really difficult for President Ma to speak up. Xie Chaonan had also thought of taking the route of the higher-ups. However, there were many things involved in the market. It was not something that President Ma could make the final decision. Then what should we do? The Sun family is really too despicable. They used an overt plot to make us unable to resist. This is a situation where we will definitely die. As long as Medicine Master Sun is in the Warrior Guild, the Xie family will not be able to make a comeback. Xie Chaobei said with some distress. The Xie family had been in the limelight for more than 10 years. With the support of the Warrior Guild, they had become the behemoth they were now. In order to do business in the Warrior Guild, those aristocratic families would always curry favor with the Xie family. However, in the blink of an eye, the Xie family's luck had come to an end. Because the Sun family had an ambitious Medicine Master Sun, The Xia family could not break out of this situation. Father, why don't we start an all-out war with the Sun family? This is a situation that will not end until one of us is dead. If we continue like this, we will not be able to sell the medicinal herbs and they will spoil. We will die no matter what. Why don't we fight it out? Xia Huang said angrily. Childish. How do we fight it out? Send out the warriors to fight it out? If that happens, it will be our Xia family's fault. The warrior guild will never allow such a situation to happen. We are businessmen, not bandits. Xia Chaonan shook his head. Your second uncle is right. They are using an overt plot. Xia Huang shrunk his head. He was just saying it casually. After being scolded by his father, he immediately stopped talking. Father, I have thought of someone who might be able to help us. Xia Fei, who had been listening in on the family meeting, suddenly spoke up. Chapter 215. Oh. Xia Chaonan was slightly stunned and thought of a person. You mean White Fox? That's right. Since White Fox can enter and exit the Sun family easily, and he can even force Sun Rongjin to reveal Xia Xiaofeng's whereabouts, he must be a capable person. So, I think we can try. Since the Sun family is using an open scheme, we will use a conspiracy but we won't do anything. Xia Fei nodded. Everyone in the Xia family had heard of the White Fox. Although they didn't think that the White Fox could compete with the Sun family, there was no other way at this moment. However, Xia Chaobei was a little worried. Big brother, if the White Fox messes up, will our Xia family be exposed? So what if he does? So what if he doesn't? Doesn't the Sun family know that we are targeting them? What we have to do is not to leave any evidence for the warrior guild. Xia Chaonan waved his hand and said, actually what Emperor Xia said makes sense. It's already a fight to the death, but we can let others do it. Xia Chaonan thought about it and felt that Xia Chaonan's words were very reasonable. Suspicion was suspicion as long as they didn't leave any evidence. Just like Medicine Master Sun said that the quality of the Xia family's medicinal herbs wasn't good. In fact, there were some problems. However, those problems weren't problems in the past. For example, the shape of the medicinal herbs wasn't good, the size wasn't right, etc. If these things were serious, strictly speaking, it wouldn't work. However, this kind of cheap medicinal herbs usually didn't pursue these things. As long as it was effective, it could be sold. However, this year, Medicine Master Sun said that everything should be done according to the purchasing standards issued by the Hong Chamber of Commerce. The Xia family really couldn't do anything. There was no way to complain. Xiao Fei, then contact White Fox and see if he has the confidence to help. The price isn't a problem, Xia Chaonan said. At this moment, it was a desperate attempt. Otherwise, the Xia family would really be finished. Therefore, after the meeting, Xia Fei kept waiting for Xiao Chen's reply. Xia Fei didn't dare to call directly. She was afraid that Xiao Chen was on a mission, so she sent a text message. When Xiao Chen replied to her, it was already an hour later. Xia Fei, why are you looking for me? Xiao Chen asked. It's like this. Xia Fei briefly told Xiao Chen about the problems that happened between the Xia family and the Sun family. Our Xia family just held a family meeting and wanted you to help us deal with the Sun family. Me? Deal with the Sun clan? Xiao Chen was stunned. Then he was stunned. Consort Xia wasn't joking, right? Where could he go to deal with the entire Sun family? Although Xiao Chen was also very unhappy with Sun Rongjin, Xiao Chen had already painted a skull on him for daring to have designs on Kerlin. However, the key problem was that Xiao Chen now had a lot of enemies. There were Li Shanpao's people, Chao Yuliang and Old Witch of Xishan. Now that the Sun family had come, Xiao Chen was afraid that he would really burn himself by playing with fire. Don't look at how Xiao Chen was now playing with his enemies, but this was only temporary. No matter how stupid Chao Yuliang was, there would come a day when he would come back to his senses. Besides, he wasn't stupid. He just didn't expect that Xiao Chen, a good-for-nothing, could play with him. That's right. Consort Xia said affirmatively, as long as you can constantly create trouble for the Sun family and restrain them, the Sun family won't have the energy to care about the warrior guild's business. Our Xia family isn't greedy. We just need to keep the remaining share. Create trouble, restrain the Sun family. Although the task was very difficult, Xiao Chen still decided to give it a try. There was no other reason but because he was short of money. So Xiao Chen asked directly, what's the reward? Because this is a long-term task, you definitely won't be happy if I give you a one-time reward. Consort Xia said, as long as you restrain the Sun family, our Xia family will pay Mr. White Fox 10 million every month as a reward. What do you think? 10 million. Xiao Chen was really tempted. Although the Xia clan was a wealthy clan, the price of 10 million per month was not a small amount. The Xie clan was doing business with the Martial Artist Guild, but they were not producing and selling the herbs themselves. To put it bluntly, they were an exclusive supplier. They also needed to cooperate with other clans and herbalists to purchase the herbs and sell them. The annual profit was said to be a few hundred million, but that was just a rumor. No one knew how much it really was. In addition to the Xie family's expenses, the price given to Xiaochen was probably the limit. Of course, this was also because Consort Xie was familiar with Xiaochen and had a good relationship. She directly stated her bottom line. Okay, I'll accept this task. Xiaochen already had a feud with the Sun family, so he didn't mind continuing the feud. If Xiaochen was asked to deal with an innocent person or a family, Xiaochen really couldn't do it. He was a person who could distinguish between good and evil. He wasn't the kind of cold-blooded person who would do anything for money. And now, this task of the Xie family was in line with his principles. The Sun family was despicable first. That stupid medicine master Sun also provoked Xiaochen, and that stupid Sun Rongjin also provoked Xiaochen. They deserve to be unlucky. Okay, the first month's salary. You can come to my villa when you're free. I'm now at the Xie family in the provincial capital. I'll go back tomorrow. When Consort Xie heard Xiaochen agree, she breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't know why, but Xiaochen gave her a special sense of security. Okay. After Xiaochen finished speaking, he hung up the phone and secretly planned in his heart. How can I make a move to distract the Sun family? It must be a big thing that can make the Sun family unable to take care of the Xie family. It can make them busy for a while. After a night of silence, Xiaochen went to the morning market street in the morning. He didn't help Tang Tang set up the stall in the past 2 days. Xiaochen felt a little guilty. The money earned from the fried dough sticks basically fell into Xiaochen's pocket, and Tang Tang never complained at all. How are you playing these 2 days? Tang Tang asked when she saw Xiaochen. Don't mention it. I almost died. Xiaochen shook his head and told Tang Tang about him falling into the sea. But because Tang Tang didn't know his strength, she still said the same thing as the young lady. She said that a patrol boat passed by and saved them. Gosh, why do you always do such thrilling things? I almost couldn't see you. Tang Tang couldn't help but be a little scared after listening. Don't go out in the future. It's good to sell things with me in the morning market street. Isn't this to earn an appearance fee? Xiaochen smiled bitterly. Do you think I want to go? Appearance fee? Right, Xiaochen, what are you going to do with so much money? Tang Tang saw that Xiaochen couldn't leave his old business in 3 sentences. Isn't it to buy medicine? I have to let myself be able to cultivate. Otherwise, what can I do without strength in the future? Said Xiaochen. It turns out to be to buy medicine. In fact, it's not impossible to leave the ranks of martial artists. You see those ordinary people. They may not know the existence of martial artists all their lives, but they are still living happily and freely. Tang Tang said. Do you think I can really leave the circle of the aristocratic families? In fact, up to now, you and I haven't really integrated into the secular world. Every day there are still some people from the aristocratic families appearing in front of us. Xiaochen said. That's true. Tang Tang sighed helplessly. Sometimes you can't do whatever you want. Today, Kerlin went to the morning market street with her parents as usual. She was grateful and afraid of Xiaochen. These 2 days Xiaochen didn't come, so Kerlin dared to talk to Tang Tang and send her noodles. If Xiaochen was here she would feel terrified. She couldn't help but think of what she saw at the door of her house before, and Xiaochen said that Sun Rongjin and red hair would never come again. Today, Kerlin thought that Xiaochen still wouldn't come, so after she finished her work, she happily went to find Tang Tang with a bowl of noodles. On the way, Kerlin accidentally bumped into an old man. In fact, it was Kerlin who bumped into him. It was the old man who bumped into her carelessly. But when the old man sat on the ground, Kerlin was still shocked. Ouch, it hurts. The old man clutched his waist and cried with his teeth clenched. Grandpa, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Kerlin wanted to cry but had no tears. Why was she so unlucky to bump into someone again? I know, miss. It's not your fault. I'm old and my eyesight isn't very good. I didn't dodge. The old man was quite reasonable. He didn't blame Kerlin, which made Kerlin a little embarrassed. Do you have anything to do? Let me treat you to some noodles. My family sells beef noodles. Kerlin said apologetically. It's okay, miss. You can help me back. My son's car is over there. You can help me get in the car. I don't eat noodles. The old man said. Okay, Grandpa. Kerlin didn't think much about it. She helped the old man up and followed the direction he pointed to. They walked to a small street next to the morning market street. Generally, people who drove to the morning market street would park their cars here. It was basically impossible to drive a car into the morning market street, unless Lu Jinming was a ruthless person who wasn't afraid of death. Kerlin helped the old man into a white Iveco business car. But as soon as they got in, Kerlin smelled a fragrance. Then she was dazed and didn't know what happened. The noodles in her hand also fell to the ground. The old man who was bent over instantly stood up straight and pulled down his hood and beard. He turned into red hair. That's right, this old man was disguised by red hair. His purpose was to kidnap Kerlin. Previously, he saw Xiao Chen was also at the morning market street, and he wasn't Xiao Chen's opponent. He knew that he couldn't force himself, so he disguised as the old man and waited for the opportunity. Finally, when Kerlin was alone, he bumped into her. Hee hee. Red hair laughed sinisterly. Then he dialed Sun Rongjin's number. Young Master Jin, I'm Lu Litzao. I've already caught Kerlin. Should I go to your place now? Yes, come directly to my villa by the sea. Sun Rongjin said. He didn't want the Sun family to know that he kidnapped someone. In the eyes of the Sun family, it was not a proper job. Chapter 216. After the conflict with Zhu Yingxiong, Sun Rongjin's grandfather, Sun Xiaonong, was already somewhat dissatisfied with him. Not only was he injured, but he also lost Lu Dianbiao. According to Sun Xiaonong, the white fox must be dealt with, but Zhu Yingxiong and Xiao Chen should be put aside first. After all, these two people were related to the Songning clan. Offending them would be detrimental to the Sun family's development. After all, the Sun family wasn't the Xie family yet. Although Sun Rongjin was the third-generation successor of the Sun family, it should be known that Sun Rongjin still had two cousins. The reason why the elder cousin, Sun Rongqin, wasn't selected was because he was an illegitimate child. However, the younger cousin was a legitimate descendant of the Sun family, and they weren't that different in age. Therefore, it was better for Sun Rongjin to do this kind of thing secretly. If they caught him and took the opportunity to attack him, Sun Rongjin's points would be deducted in front of Sun Xiaonong. However, Sun Rongjin had a private villa by the sea. He transferred everything there. In his opinion, Xiao Chen was just a down-and-out child. Even if he had some scoundrel friends around him who were loyal to him, it didn't represent the Xiao family. Besides, because of a noodle-selling woman, no matter how protective the Xiao family was, they wouldn't stand up for him. No problem. Red Hair replied repeatedly. So far the plan was going smoothly. Red Hair drove directly to Sun Rongjin's seaside villa with the unconscious Kerlin. Then he looked for Sun Rongjin to take credit for it. And Red Hair, you did a good job this time. Things went smoothly, which made Sun Rongjin very happy. He said, call Xiao Chen in a while. Tell him to come alone. If he brings his scoundrel friends, kill them. I understand. Red Hair quickly nodded and then said flatteringly, then, young Master Jin, do you want to have sex with them first? That chick is so beautiful. That small figure, that small face, tsk. And what you said makes sense. Sun Rongjin nodded, but he suddenly thought of something and said, call Xiaoli and ask her to come over. This Xiaoli was a mistress that Sun Rongjin kept outside. Red Hair also knew her. They even had a meal together a few days ago. However, Sun Rongjin didn't do her at that time because his lower body was injured and hadn't fully recovered. But today he was going to use Xiaoli to test his function first. After all, Kerlin was a virgin. It was impossible for her to cooperate with him to test in detail. But Xiaoli could. Sun Rongjin was still thinking of messing with Lin Ke in front of Xiao Chen later. If by any chance his functions hadn't recovered by then, he would lose a lot of face. Lin Chen with her. Redhead was slightly stunned. Although he didn't know why Sun Rongjin called Xiaoli, he still called her Yen with our Wu with Feng Hair Red Air R. Red Hair dialed Xiaoli's number and told her about Sun Rongjin's intentions. Xiaoli had also been to the villa by the sea. When she heard that Sun Rongjin wanted to have sex with her, she immediately ran over. Hair called Xiaoli and told her about Sun Rongjin's intention. Xiaoli had been to the villa by the sea. When she heard that Sun Rongjin wanted to have sex with her, she immediately ran over. It's done, young Master Jin. Hair nodded at Sun Rongjin. And I'm just an appetizer. You know, when I do it with a virgin, I can't enjoy myself to my heart's content. My ability is too strong, so I can't enjoy myself to my heart's content. So, I'm practicing in advance. Sun Rongjin said pretentiously. Ah, that's true. Young Master Jin is invincible, brave and mighty. Hair flattered. I can't do it. I need to rest after one. Young Master Jean is a martial artist, so you are different. An average. Third in the world. Sun Rongjin smiled proudly. Not long after Shaoli came. When she saw Sun Rongjin, she threw herself into Sun Rongjin's arms. Young Master Jean, why didn't you look for me for so long? I thought you didn't like me anymore. Of course not. Isn't it because our Sun family is a little busy these days? In order to replace the provincial capital's Xie family and become the #1 business family in the province, the connection with the warriors' market naturally falls on me, the successor who is being groomed. So I'm quite busy. I just successfully did a business yesterday, so I'm free now. Sun Rongjin said with a laugh. Young Master Jean is getting more and more powerful. You can't abandon me when you're rich, right? Shaoli said coquettishly. That can't be done. When I inherit the throne, this villa will be yours to live in. Sun Rongjin patted Shaoli and said, come, let's do it first. In a while, I, young master, will have to have sex with someone else's woman. Ah, there's another woman? Shaoli looked at Sun Rongjin unhappily. Haha, won't I have sex with you first? Sun Rongjin laughed. Then what are we waiting for? Let's get started. Shaolin said coquettishly and fell into Sun Rongjin's arms. Red hair, in a while, calculate the time. When it's about time, call Xiaoqin. When the time comes, I'll try to have sex with Kerlin a few times. When I'm familiar with it, Xiaoqin will also come and I'll show off in front of him. Sun Rongjin said, feed that little girl Kerlin some aphrodisiac, and it'll be easier for me to show off later. No problem. Red hair nodded wretchedly. Old woman, it's been half an hour. Kaer still hasn't returned. Could something have happened? Lin Dongliang said to Mother Lin worriedly. Kerlin went to deliver a bowl of noodles every day, and it would only take her 10 minutes to come back. How could she take such a long time? What could have happened? It's just at the morning market street and it's just a blink of an eye. There are so many people, so what if we encounter human traffickers? Mother Lin looked indifferent. She put down the bowl and chopsticks in her hand and said, hurry up and cook the noodles. There are so many customers. It's been half an hour. According to the past, Kaer should have returned long ago. Lin Dongliang frowned and said, go and look for her. If it weren't for the inconvenience of my leg, I would have gone there myself. You love her as if I'm a stepmother. What could have happened? She's already a grown-up. Mother Lin had no choice but to put down the work in her hand and said, then you watch over here, don't delay the business. Don't worry. Go ahead. I can handle it alone. Lin Dongliang said. Kerlin didn't have a mobile phone. Nowadays there were very few students who didn't have a mobile phone, especially in an aristocratic school like Songning First High School. So Mother Lin could only look for it. She walked all the way to Tang Tang and Xiao Chen's fried dough stick stall, but she didn't see Kerlin. Mother Lin was a little worried. She saw Tang Tang and quickly asked, Tang Tang, have you seen my Kaer? Sister Lin? Tang Tang was slightly stunned. She shook her head and said, no, Auntie, she didn't come today. Didn't come? Mother Lin was stunned. That's not right. She said that she came to send you some noodles. It's been more than half an hour and she hasn't gone back yet. You didn't see her? What? Tang Tang was shocked. More than half an hour? Xiao Chen also put down the work in his hand, raised his head, looked at Mother Lin and said, Auntie, did you see Kerlin along the way? No. Mother Lin was anxious. How can such a big living person be lost? It's impossible. Auntie, don't worry. Let's look for her together and then ask around to see if anyone has seen Kerlin. Tang Tang said quickly. Okay. Mother Lin nodded again and again. She also had no idea. Although she was usually very harsh to her daughter and always scolded her, in fact she still cared about her daughter very much. Her daughter's disappearance also made her panic. Kerlin was such a big person. It was impossible to say that she was lost. Could it be that she was kidnapped? But in such a busy place like the morning market, it was not easy to kidnap a person unless it was a trap. But for what? As Xiao Chen thought about it, he quickly extinguished the fire in the oil pan and found a plastic sheet to cover the stall. Then he quickly said hello to the guy next to the stall and asked him to take care of it. The stall next to him was selling spicy hot pot. Usually he had a good relationship with Xiao Chen, so the guy naturally nodded and agreed. Xiao Chen and Tang Tang accompanied Mother Lin to start looking for her. Tang Tang had a photo of Kerlin in her mobile phone, so she went to the stall to ask if anyone had seen Kerlin. Finally, Tang Tang found the answer from a middle-aged woman who sold sesame seed cake. This little girl, I saw her. She was carrying something in her hand, and then she bumped into an old man. The little girl supported the old man and walked to the path over there, said the middle-aged woman. With Lin Ker's movements, Mother Lin heaved a sigh of relief. From her point of view, it was possible that Lin Ke was holding onto the old man and was delayed. Hence, she hurriedly walked towards the small path. However, not long after she walked into the path, she saw a bag of spilled beef noodles on the ground on the side of the road, but there was no trace of Ke Lin. Mother Lin was suddenly dumbfounded. Xiao Chen walked over, squatted on the ground and sniffed the smell on the ground, but he frowned. Ke Lin should be taken away in a car, not on foot. Although Xiao Chen could barely follow them and find them, he didn't know their purpose. Xiao Chen was afraid that if someone coveted Ke Lin's beauty, it would be too late to find them. What should I do? Where did Kuer go? Mother Lin sat on the ground and looked at the beef noodles on the ground in a daze. When Xiao Chen was about to persuade her, his mobile phone suddenly rang. It was a strange number. However, this strange number dialed Xiao Chen's mobile phone number, not White Fox's mobile phone number. Hello, who are you looking for? Xiao Chen hesitated and picked up the phone. He didn't know why, but he had a bad feeling. It seemed that this phone call was related to Ke Lin. Is it the useless and abandoned son of the Xiao family, Xiao Chen? On the other side of the phone, a somewhat annoying voice sounded, but Xiao Chen knew who the owner of the voice was as soon as he heard it. Should we call the police? Mother Lin didn't know what to do and said with a sad face. Not yet. The other party asked me to exchange for Ke Lin alone. Tang Tang, you take Annie back first. You don't have to worry. Don't worry, I will definitely exchange for Ke Lin. They are coming for me. They just want to force me to go there by kidnapping Ke Lin. Xiao Chen comforted. If that's the case, then go quickly. When Mother Lin heard that these people were coming for Xiao Chen and that Ke Lin was accidentally injured, she was a little unhappy. But when she thought that Xiao Chen didn't abandon his daughter, she had a slightly better impression of Xiao Chen. It was too late for Xiao Chen to go back to get his car. His running speed wasn't slow, so he ran directly in the direction of the seaside villa. Red Hair called Xiao Chen after a low roar came from Sun Rongjin's room. After the phone call, he ordered a duo, an attendant that Sun Rongjin brought from home, to pick up Xiao Chen. He waited at the door, waiting for Sun Rongjin to find him so that he could report to Sun Rongjin. Under normal circumstances, hearing a man's low roar meant that the matter was over. However, Red Hair waited for a long time, but Sun Rongjin didn't call him. Could it be that Sun Rongjin was going to do it again? Thinking of this, Red Hair couldn't help but secretly admire young Master Jin. He's really awesome. As he was thinking, he suddenly heard Xiao Li scream from the room. Ah! Oh. The voice was full of panic. Red Hair was shocked. He quickly walked over and knocked on the door and said, "What's wrong? Can I come in?" Ah! What answered him was another scream. Red Hair quickly pushed the door open and walked in. As it was Red Hair outside, Sun Rongjin didn't even lock the door when he was doing it. As soon as he entered, he was greeted by a sea of white. The two huge balls almost made Red Hair drool. Young Master Jin's woman had a good figure. She was the best. However, he knew that young Master Jin was still inside, so he didn't dare look any further. He only asked anxiously, "What's wrong? What happened?" Young Master Jin. Young Master Jin, he. Xiao Li didn't care that she was already exposed. She trembled as she pointed at Sun Rongjin on the bed. What happened to young Master Jin? Red Hair was stunned. Young Master Jin. He's dead. Xiao Li said with a pale face. Huh. Red Hair jumped in fright. Young Master Jin is dead? How did he die? He quickly ran over and checked Sun Rongjin's breath. Indeed, he wasn't breathing. He then looked at young Master Jin's lower body. It was a mess with bright red blood. It was as horrifying as one could imagine. Red Hair said, "What happened?" "I don't know either. After young Master Jin finished, he laid on top of me. I thought he wanted to rest, but he didn't move for a long time. I pushed him down and he became like this." Xiao Li knew Sun Rongjin's background. Now that Sun Rongjin was dead on her bed, how could she be any better? Red Hair was instantly dumbfounded. What the F***ck was going on? Sun Rongjin died just like that? When Xiao Chen came later, who was going to take revenge on Xiao Chen? And the backer that he had just gotten was gone just like that? Red Hair really couldn't accept it. However, what could he do even if he was unwilling? What Red Fur was thinking now was that he had to run away quickly. Otherwise the Sun family might blame him too. But thinking about it, his distant cousin was Medicine Master Sun's disciple. Could he escape? Red Hair wanted to cry but had no tears. He glared at Xiaoli and said, "Hurry up and put on your clothes. We will go to the Sun family to find someone. Don't destroy the scene. If young Master Jean died by himself, it's not your fault." Oh. Xiaoli also knew that she couldn't escape. She had some fame in the circle. Ever since she followed Sun Rongjin, he helped her take on a few commercials and music videos. She couldn't escape even if she wanted to. Red Hair took a deep breath. He couldn't care less about Xiaoqin. He didn't know the Sun family's contact details and neither did Xiaoli. He could only go to the warrior guild to find Medicine Master Sunday. He quickly went downstairs with Xiaoli and got into her Mercedes-Benz GLK. They quickly went to the warrior guild. Meanwhile, Sun Rongjin's follower, Aduo, was waiting for Xiaoqin at the entrance of the villa complex. Red Hair had already ignored him and directly drove over. Aduo waited for a while and saw Xiaoqin running over. He had Xiaoqin's photo, so he naturally recognized Xiaoqin at a glance. However, he was a little puzzled as to why Xiaoqin ran over. Why didn't he drive? However, it was just strange. These things had nothing to do with him. He waved at Xiaoqin and said, "Xiaoqin, right? Young Master Jean has been waiting for a long time. Follow me." "How is Kerlin?" Xiaoqin asked directly. "Young Master Jean definitely won't take her life." Aduo knew Sun Rongjin's plan, but he didn't say it clearly. He only said vaguely, "Get in the car. Follow me." Xiaoqin frowned. He heard the hidden meaning in Aduo's words. However, he still needed Aduo to lead the way, so he didn't say anything and followed Aduo into a Volkswagen. The car drove all the way and stopped in front of a very luxurious villa with a sea view. Xiaoqin followed Aduo out of the car. Aduo didn't remove the car key. Obviously, this was a private villa area, and no one would steal the car. Xiaoqin followed behind Aduo and entered the villa and went upstairs. However, when Aduo went upstairs, he didn't see Red Hair. He was a little puzzled and didn't know where Red Hair went. He didn't ask much and brought Xiaoqin directly to the door of Sun Rongjin's room. He said, "Young Master Jean, I brought Xiaoqin to you." Aduo did not tie Xiaoqin up because he was also a Stage 2 inner force martial artist, which was the same strength as the bodyguard from yesterday. According to his investigation, Xiaoqin was a wastrel who did not even have Stage 1 inner force, so Aduo was confident that he could restrain him. "Young Master Jean?" There was no response from the room. Aduo was stunned and walked into the room. However, the scene in front of him made him jump in fright. He quickly rushed over. Young Master Jean, what happened to you?" Xiaoqin followed behind. When he took a look inside, he was shocked. Sun Rongjin had obviously died from losing his yang energy. This was the after effect left by the white fox last time. However, Sun Rongjin was dead, but Xiaoqin didn't feel at ease at all. Instead, he was even more worried. He was worried about how Sun Rongjin died. Was it because of Kerlin? Then wasn't Kerlin now? Thinking of this, Xiaoqin couldn't care less about Sun Rongjin's matter. He turned around in the corridor and used his divine sense to search for traces of Kerlin in the villa. Suddenly, Xiaoqin's divine sense locked onto a room. Xiaoqin quickly ran over and kicked the door open. He saw Kerlin's little red face twisting back and forth on the bed. She looked like she was unconscious, but she was drugged. If Xiaoqin's guess was right, it should be an aphrodisiac. However, looking at Kerlin's state, she shouldn't have been violated. In other words, Sun Rongjin died from losing his yang energy with someone else. This made Xiaoqin heave a sigh of relief. He walked in and carried Kerlin. He kicked the window open and jumped out. Chapter 218. As for Aduo and Sun Rongjin, Xiaoqin was too lazy to care about them. Originally, he planned to kill Aduo together, but Kerlin's situation was very bad. Xiaoqin didn't want to waste time. Kerlin, who was in his arms, twisted on Xiaoqin's body. The drug seemed to have taken effect. Xiaoqin came to the courtyard of the villa. He pondered for a moment and went directly to Aduo's car. He planned to leave this place first and then find a quiet place to check on Kerlin's situation. From the situation in front of him, Kerlin must have been drugged when she was drugged with some kind of aphrodisiac. Otherwise, she wouldn't be in a coma. He didn't know if her life was in danger. The car drove all the way out of the seaside villa area. However, before they drove far, Kerlin's body suddenly twisted in the front passenger seat. She said, "It's hot, it's so hot." Kerlin woke up. Xiaoqin hurriedly glanced at the front passenger seat. At this moment, he didn't know if Lin Ke was already awake or in a daze. Her body was twisting back and forth on the seat, looking like she was in great pain. "Kerlin?" Xiaochen tried to call Kerlin's name while driving. It's hot. I'm so hot. Kerlin heard Xiaochen's voice in a daze. She answered subconsciously, but her body still twisted involuntarily. It's so uncomfortable, it's so hot, Xiaochen frowned. In the past he had only read about it on television and in novels. It was said that people who had been drugged with some aphrodisiac would explode and die if they did not release it within a specified period of time. Although this might be an exaggeration, he didn't know if it would bring harm to the body and leave any sequelae. Xiaochen had no choice but to drive the car in the direction of the seaside. He found a place where there was no one and stopped. Only then did Xiaochen turn his head to look at Lin Kuo. However, from the looks of it, Lin Kuo should have already woken up. She had some self-awareness and was not completely without any thoughts. Kerlin. Xiaochen subconsciously changed the name. I'm hot. Kerlin answered, I'm so tired. Although Xiaochen was an awesome high-level cultivator, he was helpless at the moment. He hadn't studied how to deal with the aphrodisiac. According to the Elder Heaven Ancestor, Xiaochen gave her a potion made of medicinal dregs. It should be able to solve the problem. But the key problem was that Xiaochen didn't have the potion with him now. Even if he went back to brew it, it wouldn't be done in a short time. It's so hot. It seemed that the drug was starting to get stronger. Kerlin actually began to pull on her body. It seemed that she wanted to tear off the clothes on her body. Elder Heaven Ancestor, what should I do now? Xiaochen smiled bitterly. He had a feeling that he couldn't cook without rice. What to do? Push it down. Push it down and it'll be fine, said the Elder Heaven Ancestor. Cough cough. Xiaochen looked at Lin Kuo's small face that had already become flushed red, and her alluring figure that was twisting about. He couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Old Sky's suggestion seemed to be pretty good. However, Xiaochen wasn't a person who took advantage of others. If he wanted to deal with Kerlin, Xiaochen would have done it when he rescued her from the hands of that playboy. He wouldn't have to wait until now. However, Lin Kuo's next action caused Xiaochen to jump in fright, because she actually tore open her collar, revealing her fair chest. Even though there was a bra covering it, the faintly discernible ravine still caused Xiaochen's breathing to quicken. Lin Kuo, quickly stop. It's hot. Help me. Not only did Kerlin not listen to Xiaochen's dissuasion, but she tore her collar even harder. She also wanted to ask Xiaochen for help. The collar was torn open, but the buttons on the clothes were not easy to unbutton. Kerlin tore it even harder. Only a ripped sound was heard. Kerlin's school uniform was directly pulled open, revealing the small vest inside. AI. Xiaochen sighed and said to the Elder Heaven Ancestor angrily, Hey, do you have a solution or not? Didn't you say that cultivators are very bad ***? Why can't you even solve this? Well, you just follow the acupuncture points I said and inject your primordial chi into her body to dissolve the poison, said the Elder Heaven Ancestor. In other words, my primordial chi can detoxify? Xiaochen was a little surprised after listening. This kind of aphrodisiac is only the lowest level of poison. Naturally, it is easy to dissolve, but poison is not so easy. Don't think that you can detoxify it. You have nothing better to do than eat poison, the Elder Heaven Ancestor reminded. I'm not a fool. Xiaochen was a little speechless. Who would eat poison for no reason? Isn't that stupid? What should I do now? The Elder Heaven Ancestor opened his mouth and told Xiaochen the names of several acupuncture points. Xiaochen followed the instructions and began to circulate the primordial chi in his body and transferred it to Kerlin's body. However, when Xiaochen's primordial chi had just entered Kerlin's body, Kerlin suddenly shouted, hug me, hurry. Lin Kuo's alluring voice caused the lust that Xiaochen had just suppressed to burst forth with a whoosh. What's wrong with her? Why does it feel more serious? Xiaochen quickly asked the Elder Heaven Ancestor. Kerlin's eyes were blurred as she looked at Xiaochen. She actually reached out and began to pull off the clothes on Xiaochen's body. Gosh. Xiaochen grabbed Kerlin's hand and said, Elder Heaven Ancestor, what's the situation? You use your primordial chi to dissolve the aphrodisiac. The effect is basically the same as that feeling. After all, it can only be dissolved if there is a feeling. The Elder Heaven Ancestor said, so it is normal for her to shout. Xiaochen was a little speechless. So this was the reason. Well, then let's continue. With Xiaochen's help, Lin Kuo's cries rose and fell continuously, causing Xiaochen's heart to be in a mess. Finally, under the loud shout of Kerlin, she began to calm down, but it seemed that because she was too tired, she closed her eyes as if she had fallen asleep. However, the fact that Lin Ke had fallen asleep dispelled Xiao Chen's awkwardness. Otherwise, if Ke Lin spoke to him, he really didn't know what to say. That would not be good for either of us. Phew. Xiao Chen let out a long breath and wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. He pondered for a moment, took off his chef's uniform and covered Ke Lin's body with it. Then he started the car, but he didn't know where to go. With Ke Lin's current appearance, Xiao Chen really didn't know whether he should go back to the morning market street or not. If Mother Lin saw him like this, it wouldn't be good if she thought that he did something to Ke Lin. Even if she didn't think that he did it, it wouldn't be good if she thought that something had happened to Ke Lin during the kidnapping. Just when Xiao Chen didn't know where to go, the powerful divine sense of a cultivator suddenly made him turn his head, and he saw Ke Lin's eyes wide open, staring at him without blinking. This made Xiao Chen suddenly shocked. When did Ke Lin wake up? Xiao Chen hurriedly stopped the car and said, Ke Lin, you woke up? What's wrong? There was a trace of confusion in Ke Lin's eyes. She seemed to have had a dream that she was ashamed to talk about. However, it didn't seem to be a dream. At first, because of the effect of the knockout powder, she didn't know anything. But later, the effect of the knockout powder gradually dissipated. Although she hadn't woken up, she was still conscious when she was in a daze. So, she still had some impression of tearing her clothes, and asking Xiao Chen to help her made her even more embarrassed. When she saw Xiao Chen looking over, she didn't dare to look directly at Xiao Chen's eyes, so she quickly lowered her head. In fact, when Xiao Chen helped her detoxify, she was already awake, but in front of Xiao Chen she screamed like a bad girl, so Ke Lin didn't know how to face Xiao Chen, so she pretended to be asleep. When Xiao Chen started the car, Ke Lin dared to open her eyes. As a result, not long after she opened her eyes, she was discovered by Xiao Chen. She suddenly felt a little nervous. When she thought of the previous things, her face was a little hot. She could only pretend to be confused and ask herself what's wrong. You don't remember? Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. This Ke Lin wouldn't be foolishly abducted, right? I don't know. Ke Lin began to play dumb. Chapter 219. Ke Lin thought even if Sun Rongjin is a bad person, but Xiao Chen doesn't take human life seriously. It's an unsightly disease. Xiao Chen thought that Ke Lin didn't understand, so he explained. I know. Ke Lin nodded and said, Thank you for saving me again. Ke Lin's heart was full of gratitude to Xiao Chen. If it weren't for him, I would have encountered trouble again and again. I'm afraid I would have been harmed by bad people long ago, and my innocence wouldn't have been kept until now. However, Xiao Chen's actions today made her somewhat puzzled. Is Xiao Chen really not interested in me at all? Before I took the initiative to tear my clothes, so I called him, so tempted him, but Xiao Chen didn't do anything to me. Doesn't he like me? In school, he publicly declared that he wanted to protect me, but today is such a good opportunity, but he didn't do anything to me. Is he playing hard to get, or is he really a gentleman? Or, he isn't interested in me at all? However, if one were to say that Xiao Chen was a gentleman, even Lin Ke found it funny. Xiao Chen was a silk pants who killed without batting an eyelid. How could he be associated with a gentleman? However, if one were to say that he was loosening the reins only to grasp them better, it did not seem to be necessary. Could it be that Xiao Chen really has no interest in me? Thinking of this, Ke Lin began to worry about gains and losses again. Many times girls were like this. When the person who obviously liked you suddenly didn't like you, she was a little uncomfortable. Especially when Ke Lin was ready to let Xiao Chen pursue her in the future. The result? You're welcome. It's just a piece of cake and I didn't do anything. Xiao Chen said, Now where are we going? Ke Lin wanted to say that they were going back to the morning street, but she suddenly found that her clothes were torn like this. There was no way to go back. Her mother would definitely ask questions when she saw it. Thinking about it, Ke Lin felt a headache. Thinking of this, Ke Lin hesitated and said, Xiao Chen, can you send me home? I want to change my clothes. I definitely can't go to school like this. Okay. Xiao Chen nodded. But you should call your mother first. She is worried about you. Ke Lin nodded quickly, but she suddenly felt a little worried. She didn't know what to say on the phone and how to explain. Xiao Chen, you said. How should I tell my mother? Xiao Chen thought about it and said, Just say that you met the police on your way and saved you. Sun Rongjin was taken away. Ke Lin thought about it and felt that this reason was good. At least her mother wouldn't worry anymore. But she suddenly remembered that she didn't have a mobile phone, so she looked at Xiao Chen. Can I use your mobile phone? Of course. Xiao gave the phone to Lin. After taking Xiao phone, Lin dialed her mother's phone number. However, when she saw that the dialing options actually included a card 1 and a card 2, she was suddenly stunned. She looked at Xiao and suddenly felt that it was a bit unbelievable. You still use a counterfeit phone? Although Lin didn't have an iPhone, she had seen other people use it in school. She knew that Xiao phone didn't have a dual card configuration. If it could hold 2 cards, it was definitely a counterfeit phone. The long standby signal is good, Xiao said. I'll give you the apple that I had previously. I don't want it. Lin was shocked. She didn't expect Xiao to give her something, so she rejected it subconsciously. Xiao had only said this out of desperation. His old iPhone was useless at home, and young mistress and Jean Bebe clearly did not lack cell phones. That was why he said that he would give it to Lin Kuo. It's useless for me to keep it, Xiao said. I'll bring it to you tomorrow. I don't want it. Lin shook her head. If I want something from you, my mother will scold me to death. Just don't let her find out. In this way, it'll be convenient for me to contact you in the future, Xiao said. Why are you looking for me? Lin subconsciously shrank back, but she suddenly thought that Xiao didn't like her, right? Why is it like this again? Could it be that he is really a gentleman? Well, if you go missing again, can't I give you a call? Then I don't have to look for you so helplessly. Xiao smiled bitterly. Lin always thought that he had an ulterior motive for her, but Xiao current situation was really not suitable for him to find a girlfriend. How could he tell Miss? Lin listened to Xiao words and was slightly stunned, but she didn't speak anymore. It seemed that Xiao was very concerned about her, so Lin didn't know what to say, and it was not appropriate for her to refuse. So there was silence in the car. Xiao didn't speak and Lin didn't speak either. The two just sat quietly. Xiao drove all the way to Shanty Town, near Lin's home. Before Xiao knew that Lin lived here, but he didn't know where exactly, so he asked, Lin, where is your home? I get off the car and walk back. You wait for me here. Lin didn't want Xiao to go home with her. She didn't know why. In short, she was a little afraid of Xiao. How do you go back like this? Xiao looked at Lin's clothes and couldn't help but smile bitterly. If you go back like this, wouldn't there be rumors the next day? Lin remembered that her clothes were torn. She had to nod and point the direction to Xiao. Xiao drove the car into Shanty Town, but what surprised Xiao was that Lin's home was actually not far from the place where he killed Lu Dianbiao last time. It was really a coincidence. However, Xiao didn't think much about it. He wouldn't have thought that Lin was afraid of him because she saw him kill Lu Dianbiao. Lin got off the car and rushed into the house. Xiao shook his head helplessly and waited at the door. Not long after, Lin Kuo came out. She had changed into a new set of clothes. Although it was no longer her school uniform, it was still plain. The school uniform had been torn, and even if it was mended, it would not be so fast. This dress is good. It looks more pleasing to the eye than the school uniform. You wear the school uniform every day, so you have a little visual fatigue. Xiao made a joke. Lin's pretty face blushed. In fact, she knew that she was good-looking, so she deliberately didn't dress up. It was because it was easy to be targeted by those bullies. Even if she wore the school uniform, there were so many people who wanted to harm her. However, this was said by Xiao. Lin suddenly felt that Xiao seemed to be interested in her, and she was a little happy. At least she didn't think too much when she asked him to pursue her. Then, why didn't you do anything to me before but you helped me detoxify? Lin actually couldn't figure it out. When she was in Songning First High School, Xiao was rumored to be a lecherous ghost. He loved every woman he met and often went to nightclubs and other places. However, Lin found that Xiao seemed to be a little different from what she heard. Therefore, she plucked up the courage to ask such a question. In fact, she also wanted to know if Xiao liked her. And? Xiao was suddenly stunned. Nothing? Why does Lin ask me this question? Does she want me to not do anything? No, nothing. Lin's courage just now was gone. She was somewhat incoherent and panicked. Then what's the difference between me and Sun Rongjin? I think you certainly don't want that, right? Xiao said. Oh. Lin suddenly found that Xiao was a bit noble. It seemed that he had been helping her and didn't ask her to do anything. In the past, Lin only heard bad things about Xiao, so she naturally thought that Xiao was a bad person. But now, after having more contact with Xiao, Lin found that Xiao didn't seem to be like this. Right, you haven't called just now. Xiaochen pointed to the mobile phone that Kerlin put on the car's center console. Before Xiaochen wanted to give Kerlin his mobile phone, he scared Kerlin so much that she forgot to call. Ah. Kerlin also suddenly remembered. She quickly picked up the mobile phone and dialed her mother's number. Mother Lin and Tang Tang had been waiting for Xiaochen's news. Mother Lin's mobile phone rang. She took it out and saw that it was a strange number, but Tang Tang, who was on the side, recognized that it was Xiaochen's mobile phone number, so she quickly gestured to Mother Lin to answer. This is Xiaochen's number. There may be news. Hello, Xiaochen? Is there any news from Ku'er? Mother Lin quickly picked up the phone. Mom, it's me. Kerlin said, it's all right. I met the police on the way and they saved me. Then I met Xiaochen. My clothes were dirty by the kidnappers, so we went back to change clothes. Now we are going to school. It's all right. It's all right. When Mother Lin heard that Kerlin was saved by the police, she immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Thank God, those evil people have been punished this time. Mom, if there's nothing else, I'll go to school first. It's too late. Kerlin said. Okay, then you go. Mother Lin said. Well, Mom, give the phone to Sister Tang. Xiaochen wants to talk to her. Kerlin saw Xiaochen and gestured for Tang Tang to answer the phone. Xiaochen took the phone and Tang Tang's voice came over the phone. Xiaochen, how is it? You go to school first. I'll go there directly. It's all right. I'll tell you in detail when we get to school, Xiaochen said. Okay. Tang Tang responded, knowing that Mother Lin was next to her, and Xiaochen might not be able to say much. Xiaochen drove to No. 1 middle school with Kerlin. He dropped her off at the gate. When he was about to turn around and leave, he saw a fat man coming down from an RV. The fat man ran over madly, and then kicked the front of Xiaochen's RV. Suddenly, Kerlin and Xiaochen, who just got off the car, were stunned. Chapter 220. Especially Xiaochen, he was stunned. F***ck, you dare to drive my boss's woman? Do you want to die? Zhuing Xiong roared. Kerlin looked at Zhuing Xiong in shock. Zhuing Xiong, what are you doing? And Kerlin, boss treats you well. He saved you from danger several times. How can you sit in someone else's car? F***ck, it's fine if it's a good car, but you want to sit in a car that costs more than 100,000? Where do you want boss to put his face? Boss's car is at least a few million yuan. Zhuing Xiong was really annoyed. This Kerlin actually got into someone else's car without saying a word? Xiaochen listened for a long time and finally understood why Zhuing Xiong exploded. He thought that Kerlin had cheated on him. Xiaochen pushed open the car door and was about to get out. However, just as he opened the door, Zhuing Xiong ran over and reached out to pull Xiaochen out of the car. You dare to protect my boss's woman. You're quite something. But, old Zhu, are you crazy? Xiaochen was speechless. Ha. Zhuing Xiong heard Xiaochen's voice and was stunned. When he saw Xiaochen in the car, he was stunned and then extremely embarrassed. Boss, it's you. Ah, didn't I miss you? So I came to see you. Xiaochen was speechless. Old Zhu, you're digging a hole for me. I just got a car and you ruined it. Ah, I'm just too excited. Zhuing Xiong smiled awkwardly and said, by the way, boss, have you already settled the matter with sister-in-law Kerlin? Kerlin's face suddenly turned red. She looked at Xiaochen in a panic and said, I'll go to school first, yes. Xiaochen nodded. Ah, don't be embarrassed. Zhuing Xiong misunderstood and laughed. Boss, are you too awesome? Let's not talk about this. Get in the car first. Xiaochen gestured to Zhuing Xiong. What's the matter? Zhuing Xiong was stunned for a moment. Then he put on a serious expression and sat in Xiaochen's car. Boss, why did you buy such a car? It's so F***king short that I can't even get in. This car belongs to Sun Rongjin, Xiaochen said. Sun Rongjin? Why is his car with you? Zhuing Xiong was stunned. Sun Rongjin is dead. I killed him. Xiaochen said faintly, if the Sun family finds you, you have to find a way to cover it up. Don't let them connect White Fox with me. D***M, boss, you're so powerful. You've already killed Sun Rongjin? It's too fast. Zhuing Xiong said, boss, I realized that you weren't so fierce before. Why didn't Chao Yuliang and Chen Jinping die? Xiaochen was a little speechless. The Sun family is different from them. If Sun Rongjin dies, it's fine. If Chao Yuliang dies, it's a big deal. That's true. Don't worry, boss. If they find me, I definitely won't sell you out. Zhuing Xiong said, but boss, what happened to you and Kerlin? Lin was kidnapped by Sun Rongjin. As Xiaoqin said this, he told Xiong what happened. It turned out to be like this, but the hero saved the beauty. Even if it wasn't done, it was almost done. Xiong said, "Alright, let's not talk about this. I'm going back." Xiaoqin waved his hand and said, "Alright, I'm leaving. Boss, I will help you continue to protect Lin." Xiong got out of the car and left with his fat body. Xiaoqin shook his head and drove to Songning Second High School. Lin stepped on the bell to enter the school, and Xiaoqin was definitely late. However, Xiaoqin had the protection of the miss, so Director Su would give him some face. However, when he was halfway there, Xiaoqin's cell phone rang. Xiaoqin glanced at the caller ID. Was CFA. Generally, if there was no important situation, CFA would contact him with a text message. "CFA, you speak." Xiaoqin picked up the phone. "Mr. White Fox, that. I heard. Sun Rongjin is dead?" When CFA received the news, she was also surprised. She didn't expect such a big thing to happen to the Sun family, and the Xia family didn't expect White Fox to make such a big move. However, in addition to being surprised, there were some doubts. Was it a coincidence or was it really done by White Fox? If it was really done by White Fox, then the Xia family had to reconsider their relationship and strategy with White Fox. This person was definitely a ruthless person. This kind of person shouldn't be as simple as a mission trial taker. He should have a special identity. And he died in a woman's bed. Xiaoqin said faintly. CFA's question was actually a test. The Xia family asked her to ask that. If White Fox expressed doubts or surprise, then it wasn't White Fox who killed him. However, Xiaoqin's answer at the moment undoubtedly proved that he was an insider. What did this mean? Perhaps this matter should be related to White Fox. The Xia family knew the news early because they had a spy in the Sun family. When such a big thing happened to the Sun family, the spy naturally informed the Xia family immediately. However, White Fox didn't have a spy. Not only did he know that Sun Rongjin was dead, but he also knew how he died. How could CFA not be shocked? Beside her, the other Xia family members were the same. Is it Mr. White Fox's doing? CFA asked tentatively. He and I originally had a little conflict. Xiaoqin said, however, is your Xia family well informed? And we have our own information channels. Mr. White Fox, thank you very much. Since such a big thing happened to the Sun family, at least they won't keep an eye on the warrior guild for the next few days. We can take the opportunity to send a few batches of herbs over. CFA said. Taking someone's money to eliminate a disaster. It's nothing. Xiaoqin said faintly, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. I'm driving. All right, Mr. White Fox. Come to the provincial capital when you have time. You can be a guest at our Xia family. CFA invited. We'll talk about it later. Xiaoqin didn't want to be too close to the Xia family. It was fine to maintain cooperation, but it wouldn't be good if his real identity was exposed. And that's fine. I'll go back tonight. You can come to the villa to find me. CFA didn't force him. After all, the Xia family and White Fox weren't that close yet. It was normal for White Fox to reject her invitation. CFA hung up the phone. The Xia family's faces changed. White Fox could kill without leaving a trace. It was really amazing. According to the Xia family's information channels, the Sun family didn't know why Sun Rongjin died. Sun Rongjin's body was still in good condition. It was impossible for him to die of asphyxiation at such a young age. However, even if they didn't believe it, Medicine Master Sun had come and checked the scene. The final conclusion was that he died of asphyxiation. This result was thought-provoking. Xiaofei, you're the closest to Hero White Fox. What do you think? Xia Chaonan had changed the way he addressed Xiaoqin to Hero White Fox instead of White Fox. Since Mr. White Fox knows how and where Sun Rongjin died, I'm afraid he's really the culprit. CFA said, I suspect that Mr. White Fox isn't as simple as a lone cultivator. He came from a big sect. That's what I suspected before. Xia Chaonan nodded. But now it seems that even if he's a disciple from a big sect, he's still the most outstanding disciple. Our Xia family should change our attitude towards the White Fox hero. Becoming good friends with the White Fox hero will be the greatest help to our Xia family. Just a relationship of interest is very unreliable. We gave Hero White Fox 10 million. What if the Sun family gave Hero White Fox 20 million? That's right. Xia Chaonan nodded after listening and said, interest is the most unreliable. Our Xia family used to be the biggest supplier to the warriors' market in the province. But now, because of Medicine Master Sun, we've been pushed aside. In the end, isn't it because Medicine Master's son can bring more benefits to the warrior's market than our Xia family? Xiao Fei, how's your relationship with Hero White Fox? Xia Chaonan suddenly thought of something and asked. "Oh, it's all right." Xia Fei was stunned and then said, "But it's just a familiarity. With our relationship, it's impossible for Mr. White Fox to not change sides. What I mean is, Xiao Fei, what's your impression of Hero White Fox? After all, you're not young anymore. That kid from the Wang family isn't a good person either. Our marriage only exists in name. It's time for you to find your own happiness." Xia Chaonan said. What? Xia Fei's face suddenly turned red. Her father's meaning couldn't be more obvious. He wanted her to be with White Fox, but did White Fox like her? Did she like White Fox? Father, if the Wang family finds out. Xia Huang couldn't help but be a little worried after listening. Xia Huang was in charge of the Xia family's business in the secular world. He had more contact with the Wang family. If this matter affected the business in the secular world, it would be one disaster after another for the Xia family. The Xia family didn't have a medicinal herb distribution network in the secular world, but the Wang family did. The two families had been cooperating well over the years. If it was suddenly broken, the Wang family would certainly be affected, but with the current situation of the Xia family, it would be a heavy blow. Release some news to the Wang family, saying that we are cooperating with Hero White Fox. Then Sun Rongjin of the Sun family will die immediately. Xia Chaonan smiled and said indifferently. Xia Huang was stunned. Can we tell this to the Wang family? Your second uncle's words are right. We can let the Wang family know. If they know, they will only be more afraid. They won't dare to speak about it unless they don't want to live anymore. Those trial warriors aren't easy to deal with. If you provoke them, they will kill you. Xia Chaonan said, didn't you see what happened to Sun Rongjin? Xia Fei pursed her lips. In fact, this matter didn't need to be told to the Wang family. Wang Xiongzhuang was already very afraid and respectful of White Fox, but Xia Fei couldn't say this. After all, she promised Wang Xiongzhuang to keep it a secret. Chapter 221. Yes. Emperor Xia nodded quickly. In fact, he also hoped that his sister would be happy. If she really married White Fox, it would be a kind of happiness for his sister and a kind of luck for the Xia family. Xiao Fei, tell me the truth. Now, are you still a virgin? The one who spoke was Xia Fei's aunt, Xia Chaoxin. She usually didn't speak during family meetings. When she was young, her face was disfigured due to an accident. Therefore, she usually focused on practicing martial arts. No. Xia Fei's face turned red as she stuttered. Ai, then I don't know if White Fox will value her. Xia Chaoxin sighed. However, don't count on Hero White Fox to treat Xiao Fei as the only one. He's an outstanding talent of the younger generation. His sect will definitely find a good marriage partner for him. He'll be a link between him and Xiao Fei, Xia Chaobei said. In fact, the Xia family wasn't surprised that Xia Fei wasn't a virgin. After all, they didn't know that Wang Xiongzhuang was a natural eunuch. Even if Wang Xiongzhuang had an affair outside, it was impossible for him to not have a relationship with Xia Fei, right? Xiao Fei, your second uncle is right. After all, you are a married person. It's enough for White Fox to like you. Don't think about monopolizing things like this. Xia Chaonan said. And? Xia Fei nodded shyly. The Xia family also breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Xia Fei also had that kind of feelings for White Fox. Otherwise, she wouldn't have such an expression. In fact, Xia Chaonan was really afraid that Xia Fei wouldn't agree. If that was the case, Xia Chaonan really couldn't bear to force her. He had already forced her to marry someone she didn't like once. Now it seemed that Xia Fei was very willing to do it a second time. Alright, then our Xia family's next step is to be on good terms with White Fox and deal with the Sun family. Xia Chaonan made the final decision. Xia Chaobei didn't object either. This was something that was beneficial to the Xia family. It was impossible for him to disagree. Previously, he opposed Xia Xiaofeng's all-out war with the Sun family because it was inconsistent with the Xia family's interests. However, from the looks of it now, it was all thanks to Xia Chaobei's opposition. Otherwise, if the Xia family went all out to start the war, and the Sun family didn't manage to kidnap Xia Xiaofeng, the relationship between the two families would really be irresolvable. At that time, the warrior guild wouldn't be biased towards the Xia family anymore. They might even cancel all of the Xia family's supplies. The Sun family in a neighboring city. The meeting room of the Sun family was filled with smoke. All the prominent members of the Sun family were sitting there, including Sun Rongjin's grandfather, Sun Xiaonong, Sun Rongjin's father, Sun Yoli, Sun Rongjin's uncle, Sun Yuming, Sun Rongjin's cousin, Sun Rongqin, and Sun Rongji, Sun Rongjin's youngest son. However, Sun Yoli's youngest son, Sun Ronghao, was not there because he was too young. The one sitting next to Sun Xiaonong was Medicine Master Sunday. "You can't tell me what's going on?" Sun Xiaonong was shocked. Sun Rongjin had always been trained by him as the third-generation successor. Although Sun Rongqin was the eldest grandson, he was an illegitimate son. Before he was brought back, Sun Rongjin had already been appointed as the successor. Now Sun Rongjin suddenly died. This made old man Sun a little unable to accept it. How could he die? Sun Yukai was Medicine Master Sunday. He had already carefully checked Sun Rongjin's body. He was a warrior medicine master, so he was not inferior to those professional forensic doctors. He said, "Uncle, I've checked. Rongjin indeed died of a stroke on a horse. As for how it happened, it might be because he was injured by the Zhu family's Zhuangxiong last time. He didn't fully recover, so he overindulged in debauchery. That's why he died." Sun Xiaonong frowned. "Zhuangxiong? I won't let him off. However, that red-haired guy who instigated him, and that Shaoli Yukai, get rid of them." "Yes, father." Sun Yoli was also very sad. Sun Rongjin was the focus of the family's training, but now, it would definitely fall on the eldest family's children. Whether it was Sun Rongqin or Sun Rongji, they were both older than Sun Ronghao. The successor would definitely not fall on Sun Ronghao. Therefore he vented his hatred on red-haired guy and Shaoli. He couldn't touch Zhuangxiong's Zhu family for the time being, but killing these two people was a piece of cake. "Don't blame red-haired guy. I was the one who recommended him to Rongjin." Medicine Master Sun said faintly. Red-haired guy is also familiar with the warrior guild's business. Although it was a very plain sentence, there was no doubt in his words. In the future, let red-haired guy help Rongjin. The warrior guild's business will fall on Rongjin's shoulders. Sun Xiaonong immediately said with a hammer. Although Medicine Master Sun was his junior, he was not his biological son after all. Moreover, his status was also there, so Sun Xiaonong respected his opinion very much. Although Sun Yoli was somewhat unwilling, he didn't dare to go against his cousin. The Sun family still had to rely on Sun Yukai. Without Sun Yukai, the Sun family wouldn't be what it was today. "I'm going to kill Shaoli right now." Sun Yoli nodded and stood up to leave. There was no point for him to stay here. In fact, he also knew that Sun Rongjin's death couldn't be blamed on anyone else. Who else could be blamed? At school, classes were already starting, but Xiao Qin hadn't come yet. Qing Minjing was a little puzzled. Where did Xiao Qin go? Why did Tang Tang come back but Xiao Qin didn't? "Bebe, where did Xiao Qin go?" Qing Minjing asked. "I don't know. Bebe isn't my cousin-in-law's tracking device," Jean Bebe said. "How about I send him a text message and ask?" "Forget it. Judging from Tang Tang's appearance, she's probably fine." Qing Minjing shook her head. But after thinking for a while, she said, "No, I have to know the servant's whereabouts at all times." Ha ha ha. Jean Bebe took out her phone and wrote a text message. She said, "Cousin Minjing wants to know the whereabouts of my cousin-in-law." After sending the text message, Qing Minjing glanced at Jean Bebe's phone unconsciously. She immediately flew into a rage. "What nonsense are you sending? What cousin-in-law? Didn't I say the servant?" "But Bebe calls him cousin-in-law." Jean Bebe said innocently, "How about you send it yourself next time?" Qing Minjing didn't say anything else. Xiao Qin was driving back to school when he received Jean Bebe's text message. He replied casually, "Kerlin was kidnapped. I rescued her and will be back at school soon." Xiao Qin didn't want to hide such a thing. She knew it too, but he didn't tell her to keep it a secret. Jean Bebe received the message and gave the phone to Qing Minjing. Qing Minjing glanced at it and snorted. "Rescued Kerlin? Why is he so meddlesome? Does he think he is a hero who can take care of everything?" However, that being said, Qing Minjing was still a bit worried about Kerlin. She was relieved to see that Xiao Qin had rescued her. "Cousin, are you jealous?" Jean Bebe said with a smile. "Why would I be jealous? How ridiculous. He can do whatever he wants. It has nothing to do with me." Qing Minjing snorted. "Cousin Minjing, why are you asking where he is?" Jean Bebe didn't let it go. "Are you done yet? Trying to trick me?" Qing Minjing glared at Jean Bebe. "I'm not so easily fooled. Save it." Jean Bebe chuckled. There was no telling what she was laughing at. When Xiaoqin returned to school, the first class was already over. Seeing that Xiaoqin was fine, Tang Tang waved at him and said, "Xiaoqin, you're back. Are you okay?" "I'm fine." "Sun Rongjin is dead," Xiaoqin said in a low voice. "Dead?" Tang Tang was dazed. "How did he die?" "I heard that before he ravaged Lin Ke, he wanted to practice it, so he did it with a young model. In the end he died immediately?" Xiaoqin said, "Maybe his kidneys are too weak." Puff. Tang Tang was a little speechless after listening. "Really? Isn't this way of death a bit too weird?" "It's true. When I went there, Sun Rongjin was already dead and Red Hair ran away. So I brought Kerlin back." Xiaoqin didn't say that he killed Sun Rongjin. After all, he didn't want Tang Tang to know these dark things. Although Tang Tang sometimes behaved like a tough woman, she was a girl after all. Xiaoqin felt that killing people was a bit out of her reach. "Will the Sun family retaliate against you?" Tang Tang asked worriedly. "Different situations call for different actions. Why should I be afraid of them? After all, I have you Xiaochuan and Lu Jinming. I can send them to deal with them." Xiaoqin said indifferently. "You really treat Yu Xiaochuan as a troublemaker." Tang Tang found it a bit funny. "By the way, Yu Xiaochuan hasn't been to school these days. I don't know what he's doing. Calm down and don't make trouble at school. I'm afraid that you won't be able to find him in time." "Okay." Xiaoqin nodded, but he was doubting in his heart. Where did Yu Xiaochuan go? Did this kid go home to practice the chrysanthemum treasure book? Did he castrate himself? In fact, Xiaoqin guessed half of it. Yu Xiaochuan didn't go to practice the chrysanthemum treasure book, but went to find another bowl. He really wanted to castrate himself, but he couldn't be ruthless, so he planned to see the situation of the bowl behind him before making a decision. In the past few days, Yu Xiaochuan didn't have the mood to go to school. Instead, he went back and forth between various antique markets, but he found nothing. In desperation, Yu Xiaochuan planned to go to the previous Blue Sea Heavenly Palace Hotel. He wanted to ask the foreman Ma Xiaoqian, where did the previous bowl come from? "Isn't this young Master Kun? Young Master Kun, you haven't come to our Blue Sea Heavenly Palace for a while." When Ma Xiaoqian heard the security guard say that Yu Xiaochuan came and asked for her, she immediately ran over. Last time she helped Yu Xiaochuan to deceive Xiaoqian. As a result, Xiaoqian wasn't deceived, but Lu Jinming was deceived instead. Ma Xiaoqian was actually a little apologetic, but she couldn't do anything about this kind of thing. It wasn't clear who was to blame. Chapter 222. Manager Ma, let me ask you something. Where did you get the bowl that Zhang Naipeo, the demon sect leader, used last time? Yu Xiaochuan asked. Last time. I'm really sorry about that, but young Master Kun, you know that it's not my fault. But since young Master Kun is here, I can give you a discount to make up for the loss. Ma Xiaoqian thought that Yu Xiaochuan was here for revenge, so she quickly explained. I'm not talking to you about that, I'm just asking where that bowl came from. Is there any more? Yu Xiaochuan waved his hand and said impatiently, if there is, I'll buy another one. Ah. Ma Xiaoqian was stunned. Buy another one? Why would she buy another one? Hadn't she been cheated enough last time? This bowl should be a pair, I'll buy another one, then I'll use one good and one bad to cheat people. Yu Xiaochuan explained. He naturally couldn't show how precious this bowl was. He was afraid that Ma Xiaoqian would raise the price. However, Ma Xiaoqian couldn't imagine that there was any secret on this bowl. She didn't doubt Yu Xiaochuan's words and only said, this was obtained by a group of grave robbers. Their shop specializes in selling these kinds of stolen goods, and they sell them by cooperating with big hotels like us. Ma Xiaoqian didn't hide anything. Although Azure Sea Palace also had a backer, it was easy for the Yu family to investigate these things, so it was better to tell Yu Xiaochuan. Moreover, among these noble families, which one of them had some illegal business, and they had a tacit understanding not to make a fuss about it. Where is their shop? Yu Xiaochuan asked. In the East Antique Street, there is a treasure souvenir shop. Ma Xiaoqian said, after you go, find old Wu, just say that Azure Sea Palace's Ma Xiaoqian introduced it. Alright, Manager Ma, don't worry, I will often come to take care of your business in the future. Yu Xiaochuan said, at that time if possible, I will also choose this place for my engagement party. Thank you young Master Kun for your guidance. Ma Xiaoqian was overjoyed. She knew that Yu Xiaochuan was a gentleman. He usually wouldn't go back on his words, especially on such small matters. If he said he would take care of it, then he would definitely take care of it. She didn't expect that information about a broken bowl could be exchanged like this. Ma Xiaoqian felt that it was worth it. As for the value of that broken bowl, Ma Xiaoqian was not a martial artist, so she had no idea. After Yu Xiaochuan came out of the Blue Sea Heavenly Palace, he rushed to the precious souvenir store that Ma Xiaoqian had mentioned. When he went to this antique street before, he went to almost every house to take a look. Because this precious souvenir store was selling souvenirs, there were some high-quality fakes inside, so Yu Xiaochuan ignored it. Who would have thought that such a place would be a place for grave robbers to dispose of their stolen goods? Yu Xiaochuan parked the car at the door of Xinjiang souvenir store and walked in. Yu Xiaochuan drove an Audi A8L today, so when he entered the door, he was surrounded by several salesgirls. "This handsome guy, what do you want to buy? We have everything here, and the imitations are all very authentic." One of the shop assistants introduced. Yu Xiaochuan waved his hand and said, "Where's your boss? I have something to talk to him about." Oh. The salesgirl was a little disappointed. It turned out to be the boss's friend. However, she did not dare to neglect and immediately went to call the boss. The boss of Xinjiang souvenir store was the leader of a grave robbing gang. He was known as the king of thieves in the underworld. This person's name was Wang Wei. On the surface he looked like a slightly shrewd boss. The salesgirl called Wang Wei over, and Wang Wei greeted him with a smile. "This young master, I wonder why you are looking for me? Let's find a quiet place to talk." Yu Xiaochuan waved his hand and said, "I am from the Blue Sea Heavenly Palace. Ma Xiaoqian introduced me." "Okay, this way please." Wang Wei pondered for a moment and made a gesture of invitation. He brought Yu Xiaochuan to a private room on the upper floor of the store. After closing the door, Wang Wei said, "I wonder why Ma Xiaoqian asked you to look for me? Let's not beat around the bush. The goods in Ma Xiaoqian's hands, did you provide them?" Yu Xiaochuan went straight to the point. He was not in the mood to deal with Wang Wei, so he asked directly, "What goods? What do you mean? Who are you?" Wang Wei looked very vigilant. He would not directly admit it just because Yu Xiaochuan said that Ma Xiaoqian introduced him. "As for who I am, there is no harm in telling you. My name is Yu Xiaochuan, a member of the Yu family. Everyone calls me Young Master Kun." "Boss, you can call me that too," Yu Xiaochuan said lightly. "Oh." Wang Wei was stunned. He did not expect that the person in front of him was the famous young master of the Yu family. Yu Xiaochuan was very famous among the children of the aristocratic families. He was known as the leader of the younger generation and a gentleman. However, why was he looking for him? "Did you sell a bowl to Ma Xiaoqian?" "What bowl that Mormon sect leader Zhang Naipeo used?" Yu Xiaochuan did not have the mood to let Wang Wei ponder, so he asked directly, "What's the matter?" Wei Wang did not admit nor deny it. Even if the person in front of him was Yu Xiaochuan from the Yu clan and not someone from the police force, Wei Wang was still very cautious. This was because he did not know what Yu Xiaochuan wanted. "Is there any more?" "That bowl should be a pair. After I bought it for someone, my elder still wants it," Yu Xiaochuan said directly. He was not afraid that Wang Wei would leak it to Ma Xiaoqian. After all, he had set up a trap before. In Ma Xiaoqian's opinion, Yu Xiaochuan would definitely not tell others about this, so it was reasonable for him to make up a reason. "Oh, you are talking about that bowl?" After hearing Yu Xiaochuan's purpose of coming, Wang Wei suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. "There is no more bowl. In the ruins there was only one bowl. There is no second one." "There is no second one?" Yu Xiaochuan felt very regretful after hearing this. He had looked around for a long time and finally found the right one, but in the end he was told that there was only one bowl. This made him a little crazy. "No more," Wang Wei said firmly. "If there was, would I not sell it to you? To be able to have a relationship with the young master of the Yu family, this business is definitely profitable." Wang Wei did not have any backing. If he could have Yu Xiaochuan's protection, at least his stolen goods could enter the circle of aristocrats. Then it would be safer to sell them. "Forget it, it's fine." Yu Xiaochuan sighed and wanted to leave, feeling a little disappointed. "Young Master Kun, please wait." Wang Wei suddenly spoke and stopped Yu Xiaochuan. "Oh, is there anything else?" Yu Xiaochuan was stunned and asked. "The bowl is gone, but I found a small booklet with the bowl. It seems to be an annotation of some kind of martial arts. I wonder if young Master Kun is interested?" Wang Wei asked. "Oh, martial arts annotation? Bring it over and let me see." At this moment, Yu Xiaochuan was ecstatic, but on the surface he still pretended to be indifferent. He was a person who was good at hiding his emotions. "Okay." Wang Wei nodded and quickly turned to leave the private room. He went in the direction of the warehouse. Yu Shaochuan was very excited. He walked back and forth in the private room. He didn't want to wait any longer. Annotation of martial arts, could it be related to the Chrysanthemum treasure book? That must be it. It was really a case of wearing out iron shoes and fruitless searching, only to find it by chance. Soon Wang Wei returned with a small box in his hand. He walked towards Yu Shaochuan and handed the small box to him. Young Master Kun, this is it. Can you take a look and see if it's useful? Okay, let me see. Yu Shaochuan opened the small box and saw a thread-bound notebook inside. He carefully opened it and saw a few words scribbled on it. Grimoire Cultivation Notes. Grimoire Cultivation Notes? Although it didn't say what grimoire it was, Yu Shaochuan was sure that it was definitely the Chrysanthemum treasure book. However, he pretended to be indifferent. He glanced at it casually and said, "What kind of grimoire is this? There's no mantra for martial arts, only the notes. This thing isn't worth much, right? Isn't this just an antique? The value of an antique lies in its age, not in the object itself, right?" Wang Wei was a little disappointed when he heard Yu Shaochuan's words, but he wasn't too surprised. He was also a martial artist, but his strength wasn't high. Even if he had heard of the Chrysanthemum treasure book, it was difficult to associate it with the notes. In fact, even when Yu Shaochuan first received the bowl, he didn't think it was anything good. Wang Wei originally wanted to sell the notes to a martial artist who knew about it. After all, this thing could only be sold at a high price if sold to the right person. However, it seemed that Yu Shaochuan was right. This was just a note. Without the mantra, it wasn't very useful. Oh, since it's a set, I'll buy it back for my elder. Consider it as completing a task. Yu Shaochuan said with waning interest. How much is it? 500,000. Wang Wei said after thinking for a while. Do you think I'm a spendthrift? Yu Shaochuan's face immediately turned ugly. He threw the notes on the table and said lightly, "Keep it for yourself." Young Master Kun, don't be angry. Isn't it all about bargaining when doing business? Why don't you name a price? Wang Wei sighed. This Yu Shaochuan wasn't that easy to fool. These aristocratic families' children weren't stupid and had a lot of money. It wasn't like what Ma Xiaotian said. They would throw in $1 million to get rich. 100,000. If it's okay, I'll pay. If not, then forget it. This thing is just dispensable to me, Yu Shaochuan said. All right. Wang Wei nodded. In fact, this thing didn't cost anything. 100,000 was not bad. This was something that Ma Xiaotian didn't want in the beginning. She only wanted the bowl. This time, Yu Shaochuan swiped his card and left with the notes. Wang Wei sent him to the door and watched him get in the car. He said, "Young Master Kun, please take care of my business next time." After all, this question was still very difficult, and if the reward was too low, the people who knew might not answer him. After posting the quest, Yu Shaochuan quietly waited for someone to accept the quest. He was looking forward to it, so he refreshed the page when he had nothing to do. After Xiaochen explained the general situation to Tang Tang, he opened the Warrior Guild's app to complete quests. Although the Xia family gave him 5 million, it was really a drop in the bucket. It was estimated that it was only enough for 3 doses of medicine, and that was under the condition that the price did not increase. DD. A task recommendation flashed on the app. Any task that had recently been issued by the same person would be recommended with priority if the person issued a task again. Xiaochen clicked on it and took a look. It was actually issued by Yu Shaochuan. It was still a text task and the points were quite high. These points were at least equivalent to 500,000, which was 10 times more than the last time. This guy was quite generous, but the key problem was that Xiaochen did not even know what the mysterious body was. But it didn't matter. He still had Yi Xiaoya, didn't he? Xiaochen directly forwarded this task to Yi Biya and asked, "Do you know the answer? Tell me. Do I owe you anything? If there is a task, I won't take it myself. Why should I help you?" Yi Xiaoya's message quickly returned. "Last time I killed the disciple of the Witch of Xishan, I had to bear the responsibility alone. That Witch of Xishan has been targeting me," Xiaochen said. Okay. The mysterious body is a woman with a special physique. There are 2 ways to identify it. One is through the identification of the mantra, but only those who have practiced the special mantra can identify it. The second is more modern science, that is, through the blood, a high or low value to determine, specifically like this. Yi Xiaoya sent a lot of information. Xiaochen glanced at it and did not understand it, but he directly accepted the task and sent the things that Yi Xiaoye sent directly to young Master Kun, in the form of a private message. Yu Xiaochuan did not expect that someone would accept the task so soon. He quickly clicked on it and did not expect that it was actually White Fox, who accepted his task last time. This immediately made Yu Xiaochuan's heart feel at ease. Last time, the demonic text translation provided by White Fox was quite accurate. In Yu Xiaochuan's opinion, this White Fox must have a deep relationship with the demon sect. He might even be a disciple of the demon sect. Looking at the information provided by White Fox about the mysterious Yin body, Yu Xiaochuan was very excited. He had a very professional and convincing feeling, especially the second method of identification. Yu Xiaochuan felt that it was very feasible. Blood testing was based on the numerical content of a certain substance in the blood. This was a very scientific and easy method. Next, Yu Xiaochuan only needed to find a suitable reason to find a large group of people to test the blood. Thinking of this, Yu Xiaochuan was extremely excited. He clicked on the friend request on the mobile phone's Warrior app and requested to add White Fox as his friend. Xiaochuan was slightly stunned. He did not expect young Master Kun to want to add him. However, after thinking about it, he agreed. This guy was stupid and had a lot of money. It was a good thing to scam him. Not long after the verification, young Master Kun sent a message. "Hello Mr. White Fox, I am young Master Kun. I have issued 2 mission commissions and you were the one who accepted them. I wonder if you have any impression?" "Well, not bad. What's the matter?" Xiaochuan asked. "Nothing. I just think that you are very powerful. I want to be friends with you. If I have any questions in the future, I will issue a targeted mission to you." Young Master Kun said. "Sure." Xiaochuan naturally did not refuse. Yu Xiaochuan saw that White Fox's answer was relatively cold. It was obvious that he did not want to chat with him. Yu Xiaochuan did not continue to annoy him. If White Fox was tired of him and did not accept his mission next time, who could he ask for advice? Although the mission commissions he issued had points as a reward, it also needed suitable people to accept it. Not everyone could answer his questions. "Elder Heaven Ancestor, why is this person asking about the mysterious Yin body?" He was the one who issued the translation of the Chrysanthemum treasure book last time. Xiaochuan asked Elder Heaven Ancestor. "Oh, the Chrysanthemum treasure book. If you don't castrate yourself, you can have intercourse with a woman with the mysterious Yin body, and then inject the blood of the woman with the mysterious Yin body into your body. You can achieve a similar goal. However, there are some flaws. You don't have to think about practicing it," Elder Heaven Ancestor said. "I see." Xiaochuan nodded. To be honest, he did not want to practice it. When he heard the name of the mantra, he felt that it was very wretched. He was afraid that there would be some side effects if he practiced it. On this day, the atmosphere in the Wang family was also very depressed. The Xie family found someone to spread the news, but it made the head of the Wang family, Wang Xiangyin, very angry. What the F***ck does the Xie family mean? What do they mean by hero White Fox like Xie Fei? What does hero White Fox like Xie Fei have to do with the Wang family? However, when Wang Xiangyin heard that White Fox had killed Sun Rongjin on a horse, he was dumbfounded. Dead. Where did this hero White Fox come from? How could he be so powerful? It was easy to kill a person, but it wasn't easy to kill someone on a horse. The Wang family was very clear about the grievances between the Xie family and the Sun family. The Wang family only needed to inquire a little about the matter of Sun Rongjin dying on a horse. The problem now was whether or not hero White Fox was the one who killed him. Wang Xiangyin directly called Wang Xiongzhuang and Wang Xiongzhuang's father, who was also his eldest son Wang Dadong. After all, Xie Fei was Wang Xiongzhuang's wife. He had to let his grandson know about this matter. He didn't want this matter to be directly thrown out during the family meeting. If that happened, Wang Xiongzhuang would lose face. "Dadong Xiongzhuang, what do you think?" Wang Xiangyin told the two of them what the Xie family said and asked. "Father, this Xie family is simply too much. I think Xie Fei couldn't bear the loneliness and wanted to have an affair. She hooked up with a man called White Fox. Today's matter is most likely a coincidence. It's to create momentum for White Fox so that our Wang family will compromise." Wang Dadong coldly snorted and said, "Our Xiongzhuang is indeed wrong, but which man in a big family doesn't have 3 wives and 4 concubines? What's the problem? She had an affair, yet she dares to scare our Wang family? Do you think our Wang family is so easily scared? In any case, our Wang family is also a well-known family in the provincial capital. If the Xie family doesn't have the halo of being the #1 business family, they are nothing. We absolutely cannot tolerate this. We will send out martial artists to first kill that white fox to demonstrate our strength. Then we will force them to promise us some benefits. Finally, we will divorce that CFA. Wang Dadong voiced out his opinion in one breath. The Wang family's business was currently helmed by him, so he was full of energy. Moreover, the Wang family was also a martial arts family in the provincial capital. They had many martial artists. He himself was a martial artist with level 5 internal force, so he had the qualifications to be arrogant. Wang Xiangyin was just about to agree with his son, but he saw his grandson Wang Xiongzhuang's face was full of fear. He fell to the ground and his face was pale. Don't, please don't. Others didn't know the ability of White Fox, but Wang Xiongzhuang was very clear about it. He was a super powerful superhuman. He could easily cure his impotence, so why couldn't he let Sun Rongjin die on horseback? Chapter 224. Xiongzhuang, what's wrong with you? Wang Dadong was stunned. He didn't expect his son to be so weak. He was actually scared to this extent. He suddenly became angry. CFA is your wife. You are actually scared by an adulterer. Are you still a man? Wang Xiongzhuang's body was not very good when he was young, so he did not cultivate. However, although the Wang family was a martial arts family in the end, it still relied on business development, and Wang Xiongzhuang had a very high talent in business, so he was cultivated as a successor. No. Dad, that white fox, we shouldn't provoke him. Our Wang family can't afford to provoke him. Wang Xiongzhuang stuttered. What do you mean? Little bastard, are you stupid? Why can't we afford to provoke him? Wang Dadong reached out and wanted to hit Wang Xiongzhuang. Isn't this too much of a coward? His wife was slept with and he didn't say anything. He was afraid of this. This made Wang Dadong really angry. You wait. Wang Xiangyin, on the other hand, was a shrewd old man. He understood his grandson. He was a very astute person. It was unrealistic to say that he was frightened by someone he had never met before. Therefore he wanted to ask in detail what was going on. Xiongzhuang, do you know this white fox? Yes. Wang Xiongzhuang clenched his teeth. At this point some things couldn't be hidden anymore. Of course there was no need to hide it. In the past he was afraid that others would talk about it. Now that he was fine, even if everyone knew about it, it was impossible to make a fuss about it. What was there to hide? At most, it was not very glorious. This white fox, when he was with CFA, was he caught by you? Wang Dadong's imagination was very rich. He immediately thought of this. Then he beat you up? This? No. Wang Xiongzhuang shook his head. Dadong, don't talk. Xiongzhuang, finish. Wang Xiangyin waved his hand to stop Wang Dadong from continuing to ask. He directly said to Wang Xiongzhuang. You tell me what is going on with this white fox? This? Wang Xiongzhuang hesitated. Actually, there is something I didn't say. I am a natural eunuch. That thing is not good. I can't carry on the family line. What? Wang Dadong was stunned and looked at Wang Xiongzhuang in disbelief. Then, you allowed concubine Xie to fool around outside just because of this? Is it because you feel guilty? Wang Dadong, you shut up. Did I allow you to speak? Wang Xiangyin frowned. His son had been in power for too long and had become a little arrogant. It seemed that he had to teach him a lesson. I'm sorry, father. Wang Dadong suddenly sobered up. He suddenly realized that although he was the helmsman of the Wang family's business, in front of old man Wang, he was a nobody. Xiongzhuang, I've always known about you. However, Wang Xiangyin said, you and that woman outside haven't gotten pregnant after so long. I got someone to secretly investigate and found out that firstly, you didn't buy condoms and secondly, you didn't buy contraceptives. After further investigation, I found out that there's a problem with you, but I didn't look for you. After all, our Wang family has other children. This won't affect you taking over the business. Grandpa, you know about it? Wang Xiongzhuang was a little surprised, but this way he was relieved. Then what he said next was even more convincing. White Fox is not only a martial artist but he is also a superpower user. My natural castration was cured by him. He let me experience the happiness of being a man. What? Cured? After Wang Xiangyin knew that Wang Xiongzhuang was naturally castrated, he also got someone to look at Wang Xiongzhuang's medical records in the hospital. He also got some professionals to look at it. The conclusion was that it was an internal problem that couldn't be cured. Now Wang Xiangyin actually heard that Wang Xiongzhuang was cured. How could he not be surprised? Yes, Grandpa, I specially went to the hospital for a checkup. Now I am completely normal and I can carry on the family line. Wang Xiongzhuang nodded. So, firstly, White Fox is my benefactor. I allowed him to be with Consort Xia. Secondly, even if I didn't allow it, such a person can cure me or destroy me at any time. Moreover, he can make Sun Rongjin die on a horse. Then if he wants to kill me, it's just a matter of minutes. Wang Xiangyin's expression suddenly changed. Wang Xiongzhuang had no need to lie. If what he said was true, then it could only mean that this White Fox was really too powerful. He wasn't an ordinary person. Facing such a person, the Wang family didn't need to go against him. Not only couldn't they go against him, but they had to try their best to rope him in. Therefore Wang Xiangyin said, Xiongzhuang, go and reply to the Xia family. Tell them that you know about this. Okay, I will divorce Consort Xia later. Wang Xiongzhuang nodded. Divorce? Why do you want a divorce? Wang Xiangyin waved his hand. Not divorce? Wang Xiongzhuang was stunned. Wang Xiangyin nodded but said, how can you divorce now? If you divorce, you will have nothing to do with Consort Xia. How can you establish contact with Hero White Fox? When you are close to Hero White Fox, you can then propose to divorce Consort Xia. This is equivalent to giving Hero White Fox a favor. Who knows, the Wang family might even need his help in the future. Okay, I understand. Wang Xiongzhuang wasn't stupid. He immediately understood that his grandfather heard that Hero White Fox was so powerful, so he wanted to build a relationship with him. No wonder that old fox Xie Chaonan didn't hesitate to fall out with us. It turns out that he wanted to hoard a rare commodity. However, he probably didn't expect that Xiongzhuang and Hero White Fox already knew each other. Wang Xiangyin sneered. However, with Hero White Fox as a link, not only can we not lose our business with the Xia family, but we must also strengthen our cooperation. Even if we don't give face to the monk, we should give face to the Buddha. Who asked Hero White Fox and Consort Xia to be so close? Naturally, the Xia family has an advantage over the Wang family. I understand, father. I will inform the pharmaceutical companies under me to stop the other suppliers' goods and buy up the Xia family's stock. Although Wang Dadong was a little impatient, he wasn't a fool. After knowing how powerful Hero White Fox was, his attitude immediately changed. Okay, only the three of us know about this. Don't tell anyone else. If the others don't keep it a secret, it won't matter if they tell others about Xiongzhuang, but if they tell others about Hero White Fox, it will be a big problem. Wang Xiangyin instructed. Wang Dadong and Wang Xiongzhuang quickly nodded solemnly. The day passed quickly. In the evening, Xiao Qin, disguised as White Fox, drove Sun Rongjin's car to Consort Xia's villa. Consort Xia had been arranged to return home early that day. She was waiting at the villa for Xiao Chen's visit. In fact, Consort Xia knew her own situation best. Xiao Chen might not like her. He rang the doorbell at the door of the villa. Soon Consort Xia came to open the door. Her driver was obviously not here at night. Mr. White Fox, you're here. Consort Xia was still very polite to Xiao Chen, as if she wasn't the one who teased Xiao Chen the last time. Consort Xia's attitude made Xiao Chen breathe a sigh of relief. Otherwise, Xiao Chen really didn't know how to deal with Consort Xia. Was he really going to reject her? But she was Wang Xiongzhuang's wife. Wasn't this a bit inappropriate? Although Wang Xiongzhuang was very tacit and even thought that Xiao Chen had already done this, Wang Xiongzhuang didn't mind. Well, how's the Sun family? Xiao Chen went straight to the point. Although the Sun family is in a mess, what we didn't expect was that we still underestimated the endurance of the Sun family's old man, Sun Xiaonon. Sun Rongjin just died, and they arranged for Sun Rongjin's elder brother, Sun Rongqin, to take over Sun Rongjin's business at the Warriors Market. I guess their business will not be affected for the time being? Consort Xia said helplessly. Sun Rongqin. Xiao Chen frowned slightly and then nodded. What do you want to do? Kill this Sun Rongqin too? Xiao Chen didn't have a good impression of the Sun family. If it weren't for the Sun family's connivance, would Sun Rongjin send a warrior like Lu Dianbiao to assassinate Zhu Yingxiong? And looking at Medicine Master Sun's face, he knew that his family wasn't good people. This is still a solution. However, based on the current situation, even if he dies, the Sun family may still send someone else to replace him. It won't affect the trade with the Warriors Guild. Consort Xia analyzed. Our Xia family's next batch of medicinal herbs is about to arrive. If we are thrown out like before, then our Xia family will suffer a huge loss. Oh, I understand. Xiao Chen nodded and said, you should have a channel of information. When Sun Rongqin trades with the Warriors Guild, tell me. I will stop his trade. As long as they can't trade, the Warriors Guild can only take your Xia family's goods. Uh-huh. Consort Xia's eyes lit up after listening to Xiao Chen's words. Xiao Chen was right. As long as they stopped Sun Rongqing's trade and delayed the time between the Sun family and the warriors' market, then the warriors' market could only take their own goods. This was a good idea. No problem, I will tell you when the time comes. Okay, then I will go back first. Xiao Chen finished speaking and prepared to leave. This is this month's pay. Consort Xia handed a bank card that she had prepared to Xiao Chen and said, "Thank you." Xiao Chen took the bank card and put it in his pocket. He turned around and prepared to walk to the door of the villa. Wait. Consort Xia suddenly called out to Xiao Chen. Her voice sounded a little strange, which made Xiao Chen slightly stunned. Miss Xia, is there anything else? Xiao Chen turned around and asked, but he found that Consort Xia's little face was red. He didn't know what was wrong. No, nothing else. You can go. Goodbye. Consort Xia bit her lips and said. Chapter 225. Xiao Chen took a deep breath and shook his head. Xia Fei's appearance was very tempting, but Xiao Chen didn't have the idea of turning into a werewolf. He turned around and walked out of the villa quickly. At present he and Xia Fei were just acquaintances. If they took a step further, his relationship with the Xia family would be unclear. Xiao Chen was very clear that the Xia family wanted to use him to get rid of the Wang family, but the Xia family really overestimated him. Xiao Chen knew his own strength. Now dealing with the Wang family was completely a trick. If it was a real fight, Xiao Chen wasn't an opponent at all. Seeing Xiao Chen leave, Xia Fei's breathing immediately became rapid, and she quickly ran upstairs. Xiao Chen didn't drive this car back to the villa. After all, this car was snatched from the Wang family. The identity of the white fox didn't matter, but Xiao Chen still wanted to keep a low profile. While the Wang family ignored Xiao Chen's problem, he was going to dispose of the car. After thinking about it, there was no suitable way to deal with it. This car wasn't worth much. Even if it was a second-hand car with legal procedures, it could only be sold for tens of thousands of yuan, let alone a black car. It was 10 or 20,000 yuan. Xiao Chen was too lazy to deal with it. He directly broke the car's license plate and threw away the car's license. Then he called Qin Jinping. Boss Xiao Chen? Are you looking for me? Qin Jinping received a call from Xiao Chen and was a little surprised. Little Shed, where are you? Asked Xiao Chen. At school. What's wrong? Qin Jingshen lived on campus, so Qin Jinping also chose to live on campus recently. He wanted to have dinner with Qin Jingshen at night, but Qin Jinping could clearly feel that Qin Jingshen was still indifferent to him. Come here. I'll give you a car, said Xiao Chen. Ah, give me a car? Qin Jinping was stunned. Xiao Chen is so kind to give me a car? Is this possible? It's good enough that he didn't cheat me of my car. Why does it feel a little unrealistic to give it to me? Do you want it? If not, I'll give it to someone else. The car is quite good. It costs more than 100,000 yuan, said Xiao Chen. Are you really going to give it to me? Qin Jinping still didn't quite believe it. Are you kidding me? Are you going to give it to me and then ask me for money? I'm your boss. What's wrong with giving you a car? Have I not given you enough things in the past? Xiao Chen retorted. That's true. However, the past is different from the present. Is Jean Bebe beside you? Qin Jinping asked. I'm not here. Do you want it or not? Xiao Chen was getting impatient. Yes, yes. Qin Jinping heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that Jean Bebe wasn't here. As long as Jean Bebe wasn't here, it was still reliable. So he said, where are you? I'll go to you right now. The villa area. Come to my house, said Xiao Chen. Okay. I'll call a taxi now. Qin Jinping answered quickly. Qin Jinping had just sent Qin Jingshan away and was about to send Xiao Yuliang to the parking lot when he received Xiao Chen's call. Xiao Chen wants to give you a car? Xiao Yuliang also felt that it was a little weird. Xiao Chen is so poor. How can he give you a car? I'm a bit confused too. He is so greedy and greedy. How can he give me a car worth more than 100,000 yuan? Did the sun rise from the west? Qin Jinping still found it hard to believe. Why don't you go? Just like Jean Bebe, the boy is full of tricks. Li Shanning will be back soon. Don't cause any trouble, reminded Xiao Yuliang. I'll go and take a look. If it doesn't work, I don't want it. I don't have any money with me. Can he detain me there? Qin Jinping was reluctant to give up the car. He had never dared to buy a car because he was afraid that Jean Bebe would scam him again. However, the shabby van was too lousy. He did not want to buy it anymore. This time, Xiao Chen had given him a car. He believed that Jean Bebe would not scam him back. So, it would be a waste if he did not accept it. Thinking for a moment, Chao Yuliang said, "Fine. You don't have to call a taxi. I'll go home later. I'll drive you there to take a look first. Then you can adapt to the situation." He knew that Qin Jinping had been scared of being scammed recently and did not dare buy a car on his own anymore. Now that he had a free car, he would certainly want it. At the very least, since it was a gift from Xiaoqin, he could not scam him back. That would be meaningless. If Xiaoqin did not want to give it to him, he could simply not give it to him. There was no need to scam him back. The two of them arrived at the villa district. At the entrance of Xiaoqin's house, they saw Xiaoqin alighting from a black Volkswagen. Then he casually tossed the car key to Qin Jinping and said, "This is a black car, so there's no registration. Think of a way to get a fake one. I'm heading back." Huh. Qin Jinping immediately found it hard to believe. He gave it to him just like that? Without any additional conditions? However, seeing that Xiaoqin had already turned around and entered the villa, Qin Jinping rubbed his eyes. He could not help but wonder if he had misunderstood. Was Xiaoqin a good person? He had been spoiled by Jean Bebe before. Now that he was alone, he had regained his generous personality when he was a boss? Of course, Qin Jinping only thought about it and did not dare to take it lightly. He walked to the car carefully and checked it. He did not find any problem. After he got in the car and started it, everything was normal. This made him even more puzzled. Did he really give it to me? Let's go. It seems that he has really given it to you. Chao Yuliang shook his head. He also could not figure out Xiaoqin's intention. Could it be that he had too many good cars and was not interested in an ordinary car of this level? Chao Yuliang drove the car in the front while Qin Jinping drove behind. He did not find anything. Previously, Qin Jinping even wondered if Xiaoqin would install a bomb in the car and blow him up. But now it seemed that he had really gauged the heart of a gentleman with his own mean measure. As for whether the car was registered or not, Qin Jinping did not care at all. The Qin family had so many businesses and they also had cars of this model. He just needed to go through a set of procedures. Who would be able to check it carefully? Xiaoqin returned to the villa. Qing Minjing was watching TV in the living room. Seeing Xiaoqin, Qing Minjing curled her lips. The big hero is back? No wonder you are my servant. You even know how to play the hero and save the damsel in distress. Xiaoqin could not help but be stunned. He did not know if Qing Minjing had said something good or bad. He could only laugh dryly and said, "It's okay. Where is Bebe?" Bebe is not here. She only comes on the weekends. She usually stays at home. Qing Minjing did not mention the topic of the hero saving the damsel in distress again. Instead she said, "I am hungry. You go and get something to eat." Okay. Xiaoqin nodded and went to the kitchen. Yi Xiaoya was busy in the kitchen. When she saw Xiaoqin come in, she glanced at him and said faintly, "Such a difficult woman, and you still want to be with her every day. Do you have any backbone? If it were me, I would have left long ago. You speak with innuendo. I don't know what is going on." "Who are you talking about?" Qing Minjing's ears were sharp. She heard Yi Xiaoya's murmur immediately. She sat up from the sofa and rushed to the kitchen. "He is my servant. Do you need to care about him? Are you envious and jealous? Do you like Xiaoqin and are envious that he's my servant?" "Yes." Yi Xiaoya said faintly, "Xiaoqin, why don't you follow me? It is definitely better than following her." Xiaoqin was slightly stunned. At this moment he was a little tempted. He was not tempted by Yi Xiaoya, but he was tempted by the freshness boxes in Yi Xiaoya's refrigerator. Kuji fruit money. If I follow Yi Xiaoya, will I get them for free? Looking at Xiaoqin, she was a little absent-minded for a moment. Qing Minjing was angry. "I usually treat you well, right? Why are you going to abandon me after Yi Xiaoya provoked you? You really let me down." "Xiaoqin, you say, who are you following?" Qing Minjing was so angry with Yi Xiaoya that she vented her anger on Xiaoqin. "Sweat, of course I am following you. You are my miss." Xiaoqin said quickly and simply. This made Qing Minjing suddenly happy again. She stared at Yi Xiaoya proudly. "How about it? Some people's sugar-coated bullets are useless. This lady's servant has a firm stand." "Tisk, maybe you have something on Xiaoqin, so he has to follow you." Yi Xiaoya snorted and said disdainfully. "You." This sentence seemed to step on Qing Minjing's tail, making her a little angry. What Yi Xiaoya said was really right. Xiaoqin had to be my servant now. If he didn't be my servant, he might be tortured by the Qing family. Although in a sense this wasn't my fault, what Yi Xiaoya said was true. Xiaoqin's weakness was held by me, or by the Qing family. I guessed it right? Yi Xiaoya rolled her eyes. You only have this little ability. Forget it. I don't want to talk to you anymore. It's boring. Who wants to talk to you? Qing Minjing ran upstairs angrily. Xiaoqin, I don't want to eat anymore. I'm full. But if you care about your miss, send her a bowl of instant noodles upstairs. You don't have hands and you don't even know how to make noodles. Without Xiaoqin, I think you will probably starve to death, Yi Xiaoya said casually. Qing Minjing was almost driven mad. She turned around and glared at Yi Xiaoya, only to discover miserably that Yi Xiaoya did not look at her at all. This made Qing Minjing feel a sense of powerlessness and frustration. She had never won a fight with Yi Xiaoya, but if Jin Beibei came, Yi Xiaoya would be put down with only a few words. Jin Beibei was truly good at dealing with all kinds of disagreements. Knowing that she was no match for Jin Beibei, Qing Minjing did not say anything else. She was so angry that she went upstairs quickly, planning to complain to Jin Beibei and ask her to deal with Yi Xiaoya for her help next Saturday. Yi Xiaoya, is it fun to bicker with a miss? In fact, Minjing is a nice person, Xiaoqin said with a bitter smile. Chapter 226. One was a young lady and the other was a close teammate. Xiaoqin really couldn't help them. Only you think she's good. Yi Xiaoya snorted. By the way, can you lend me that dog of yours to study? I have been observing it for a few days. This dog doesn't seem to be an ordinary dog. Lend it to you for research? It's not an ordinary dog? Xiaoqin was slightly stunned. There had been too many things recently. Other than giving leftovers to the native dog every day, Xiaoqin really neglected it. However, at this moment, listening to Yi Xiaoya, Xiaoqin suddenly remembered the strange feeling he had when he first saw this dog. You don't really think it's a native dog, do you? Yi Xiaoya was a little surprised to see Xiaoqin in a daze. With Qing Minjing's family background, getting a native dog to raise? This doesn't seem too realistic. Therefore, Yi Xiaoya thought that Qing Minjing found something, so she took in this dog, but now it seemed that it wasn't the case? According to my judgment as a prospective martial artist, there is something wrong with this dog. It seems to have a sense of familiarity with me. Xiaoqin didn't hide it. At the same time, he was also testing how much Yi Xiaoya knew. You're not a demon. When Yi Xiaoya said this, she suddenly stopped talking and said, You're not a martial artist, but you can actually sense it. It's really strange. I have the same feeling. Xiaoqin smiled secretly. Demonic cultivator? It turned out that only demonic cultivators could sense it. As for martial artists, Xiaoqin didn't think that there was any difference between martial artists and this dog. After all, martial artists relied on strength, not energy. Really? Then you go and study it, but don't ruin it. Xiaoqin said calmly, Tell me the results of your research. All right, then I won't stand on ceremony. Yi Xiaoya went out to catch the native dog and prepared to go upstairs. Looking at her, it was as if she was going to kill the dog and eat its meat. This made Xiaoqin a little speechless. Xiaoqin made 10,000 bowls of instant noodles for Missy and went upstairs to deliver it. At the door of Missy's room, Xiaoqin hesitated for a moment. He didn't push the door open but knocked on it. Xiaoqin? Come in. Qing Minjing's voice sounded. Xiaoqin pushed the door open and entered, only to see the young mistress sprawled on the bed, playing with her tablet computer. Her two legs were raised in the air, and her fair little feet were swaying back and forth, causing Xiaoqin to feel a little dizzy. Although he didn't have any foot fetishes, everyone loved beauty. Xiaoqin merely admired and yearned for beautiful things. I want to reach out and grab it. Xiaoqin just thought about it. He didn't dare to do it. He was afraid that Missy would kick him out directly. The noodles are ready. Where should I put it for you? Asked Xiaoqin. Qing Minjing opened her mouth. Her hands were playing with the tablet game. She couldn't free them. Xiaoqin was a little helpless. He walked over and watched Missy's slender fingers sliding on the tablet computer. He couldn't help but think Missy's hands are quite flexible. Her left and right hands can actually do different actions. Would it be cool? However, Xiaoqin didn't dare to think too dirty. He picked up the fork and forked some noodles into Missy's mouth. So Qing Minjing ate and played games. Soon, a bowl of noodles was finished and Qing Minjing's game was over. She looked up. She was a little thirsty, so she said to Xiaoqin, Give me some soup. Xiaoqin picked up the bucket of noodles and sent it to Qing Minjing's mouth. He raised it. However, Xiaoqin's estimation was wrong. Missy's mouth was small. Xiaoqin estimated it based on the speed at which he drank the soup. As a result, the noodle soup splashed all over Missy. Yeah. The noodle soup was all over her pajamas and it was a little hot. Qing Minjing suddenly exclaimed. I'm sorry? Xiaoqun was a little embarrassed. He subconsciously reached out to help Missy wipe it. As a result, Xiaoqun grabbed a ball of soft stuff. There seemed to be a small protrusion at the front. Felt really good. What is this? Xiaoqun pinched it twice and suddenly felt the temperature in the room drop suddenly. It became a little cold. Then Xiaoqun saw a footstep on his face and kicked him off the bed. Ah! Qing Minjing exclaimed, I'm going to kill you. Xiaoqun's head hit the floor with a bang. The sound was as loud as it could be. Then Xiaoqun fainted directly. In fact, Xiaoqun did it on purpose. He had already realized what he was grabbing. Although he didn't have time to enjoy and savor it, he knew that his death wasn't far away. Never mind now, even if he was her fiancé in the past, grabbing Qing Minjing like this definitely wouldn't end well, let alone now. Therefore, in order to avoid responsibility, Xiaoqun directly pretended to fall head first and fainted directly on the floor. Of course, with the strength of a cultivator, holding his breath was very easy. He just needed to convert his own vitality into oxygen to supply himself. Therefore, Xiaoqun directly pretended to be dead. Hearing this loud noise, Qing Minjing was suddenly shocked. She couldn't care less about her shame and anger. She quickly climbed up from the bed and looked at Xiaoqun, who was under the bed. She saw Xiaoqun closing his eyes and not moving. Qing Minjing was suddenly frightened. His head hit the ground. How could he recover? Even if he didn't die from the fall, he would at least have a concussion, right? Qing Minjing didn't feel that she used much strength, but under the urgency just now, she probably used all her strength. Although she wasn't a martial artist, she had trained when she was a child. Her strength was much greater than the average girl. Xiaoqun's body was weak and he took medicine all day. If he was kicked off by her by surprise, wouldn't there be any problems? But, humph, who asked you to take advantage of me? You deserve to fall to death. When the Xiao family comes looking for you, just say so. But, Qing Minjing thought about it. She still jumped off the bed and quickly checked Xiaoqun's breath. However, after a test, Qing Minjing was directly scared and sat on Xiaoqun's body. Xiaoqun was sat on by Qing Minjing. Although he felt it was very exciting, Qing Minjing's whole body weight was on his stomach. He almost vomited. Luckily I have trained before. Otherwise, wouldn't I vomit blood from being sat on by you? However, Xiaoqun was still very cooperative. He used his vitality to convert a mouthful of blood, and Xiaoqun spat it out directly. Yeah. Qing Minjing was even more scared out of her wits. Xiaoqun was already out of breath from the fall. In the end, he vomited blood from sitting on me. What should I do? Xiaoqun can't really die. Hey Xiaoqun, wake up. What's wrong with you? Don't scare me. Xiaoqun didn't move. How can I move? Won't I be looking for a scolding if I get up? It's better to pretend to be dead. Xiaoqun, you wake up. Qing Minjing shook Xiaoqun's shoulder subconsciously. That, you can touch it if you want. You just need to be alive. Hearing what his mistress said, Xiaoqun's heart skipped a beat. However, he knew that Qing Minjing said that in a moment of desperation. If he really touched it when he was awake, he would probably be dead. Seeing that Xiaoqun had no reaction at all, Qing Minjing was immediately anxious. She picked up the phone and dialed Jean Bei's number. Well, cousin Minjing, what are you doing? Jean Bei's drowsy voice came over. Bei, where are you? Come here. Qing Minjing said in a hurry. I'm sleeping. What are you doing here? Jean Bei asked sleepily. Xiaoqun seems to have been kicked to death, or sat to death. Qing Minjing didn't know when Xiaoqun died either. Or he's not dead yet. Do you have any life-prolonging pills? Give them to me now. My cousin-in-law is dead? Jean Bei was shocked and immediately woke up. Wait for me, cousin Minjing. I'll fly there. Jean Bei hung up the phone and directly picked up a small pill bottle in the room, which contained the life-prolonging pill that old Master Jean gave her. She quickly went downstairs, drove her nouveau riche and sped to Qing Minjing's villa. On the way, Jean Bei dialed Qing Minjing's number again with Bluetooth. Cousin, I'll be there soon. Tell me what exactly happened. What do you mean by, my cousin-in-law was kicked to death and sat to death? It's, on the bed I kicked him and kicked him to the ground. Then with a thud I sat on him and made him vomit blood. He stopped breathing. Qing Minjing didn't explain the cause, she only explained the aftermath. What? Jean Bei was immediately stunned. Cousin Minjing, are you playing SM? SM? Cheng Minjing was dazed for a moment. Then she sneered, Bebe, don't talk nonsense. Do you know the situation? Then why did you play on the bed? You kicked and sat on him. Cousin Minjing, just admit it. Jean Bebe said with a smile, I know that you are proud and like a queen. It's perfectly normal that you like SM. Besides, Xiaochen is your slave in the first place. What nonsense are you talking about? Jean Bebe, Xiaochen is about to die and you are still in the mood to joke? Cheng Minjing said angrily. After hearing Cheng Minjing's story, Jean Bebe did not believe that Xiaochen could be dead. Don't worry. My cousin-in-law is a transformer. How could he die? That was a joke. How hard could Cheng Minjing's kick be? Even if she tried her best to sit on Xiaochen's body, how hard could it be? Her cousin-in-law was an expert at catching sharks. If he were to die so easily, he would have been dead a long time ago. Therefore, Jean Bebe felt that there must be more to it than meets the eye, except that Cheng Minjing did not mention it. What transformer? Come and take a look. Cheng Minjing was not in the mood to talk to Jean Bebe. Cousin Minjing, why is my cousin-in-law on your bed? Is there something that you haven't told Bebe? Jean Bebe asked curiously. I wanted to eat instant noodles, so I asked your cousin-in-law to feed me. In the end, he spilled the noodle soup on my chest. I was angry, so I kicked him, Cheng Minjing said. In her anxiety, she had already confused her cousin-in-law. Chapter 227. So, you admit that Xiaochen is your cousin-in-law? Jean Bebe said mischievously. Did you spill it on your chest? Did he wipe it off for you? Cheng Minjing didn't explain that he was her cousin-in-law. She only said, he rubbed it. That's why I kicked him subconsciously. That explains a lot. Jean Bebe rolled her big mischievous eyes and confirmed something in her mind. What are you talking about? Bebe, where are you now? Cheng Minjing was very anxious. She felt that Bebe thought she was joking. In fact, Xiaochen was really going to die. I'll be there soon, Jean Bebe said. Okay. I'll wait for you, Cheng Minjing said. As expected, after a short while, the sound of a car came from the yard of the villa. Then, the sound of the door opening and people going upstairs could be heard. Jean Bebe had the key to the villa. Therefore, she ran all the way to Cheng Minjing's room. Cousin Minjing, I'm here. Jean Bebe said in relief when she saw Xiaochen on the ground the moment she entered the room. Bebe, have you brought the life-prolonging pill I asked you to? Cheng Minjing asked. Yes. However, I have a unique skill to treat my cousin-in-law. Jean Bebe glanced at Xiaochen and said mischievously. Unique skill? Cheng Minjing was confused. What unique skill? Cousin-in-law, here comes Bebe's boob push. As Jean Bebe spoke, she was about to lie on Xiaochen's body. Hey Bebe, what's wrong with you? Xiaochen is already dying. If you press him like this, won't he be crushed to death? Cheng Minjing grabbed Jean Bebe and stopped her from hitting Xiaochen. Don't worry, Cousin Minjing. Jean Bebe said with a smile, Cousin-in-law, I'm here. Oh. Helpless, Xiaochen had no choice but to get up from the ground. Although Jean Bebe's words sounded cool, Master Jean was looking for a son-in-law. If he took advantage of Jean Bebe, the unreasonable gold fur lion king would definitely force him to take responsibility. Then he would be screwed. Although Xiaochen had taken a liking to Jean Bebe recently, he could not marry her just because he liked her. Wouldn't that be giving up the whole forest for a flower? Under Cheng Minjing's astonished gaze, Xiaochen jumped up from the ground and quickly slipped towards the door. I seem to have fallen asleep just now. My head is so dizzy. What happened? Why can't I remember anything? Sai, what am I doing here? After saying that, Xiaochen pushed the door open and slipped away, leaving Cheng Minjing, who was dumbfounded, and Jean Bebe, who was smiling in understanding. Xiaochen, come back here right now. Cheng Minjing suddenly realized that she had been fooled by Xiaochen. Then, when she said that she could touch Xiaochen as long as he came back to life, didn't he hear it too? I'm so angry. How dare you fool me and play dead after touching me? Do you think I'm a pushover? Alright, Cousin Minjing, it was just an accident. Besides, I played dead because he cared about you. If it were somebody else, he would have touched you. Why would he be so scared of your anger? Jean Bebe, however, said. Is that so? Cheng Minjing was somewhat happy to hear that Xiaochen cared about her. You finally know how good I am. Touch me. Let's see if you can still flirt with other women. Jean Bebe nodded. Yes. Chances are that my cousin-in-law will ask to remarry me after he returns to the Xiao family. If he wants to remarry me, he can do it. I haven't agreed to it yet. Qing Minjing snorted. She couldn't help but feel proud. If Xiaoqin asked her to remarry him, it would be a great honor for him. He didn't know how to cherish it before. Be careful not to let Tang Tang take advantage of it, Jin Beibei reminded her. What about you? Qing Minjing suddenly asked. Don't you like Xiaoqin too? Meh. Cousin Minjing, you can just let me have some soup. I just like to hang out with my cousin-in-law. He suits my taste. In fact, Jin Beibei was mainly with Xiaoqin for fun. Screw you. You want to be his concubine? Qing Minjing rolled her eyes at Jin Beibei. Cousin Minjing, you can't be so stingy, right? You don't even want to share your best sister and best friend? Jin Beibei said with a smile. Suit yourself. But I haven't promised Xiaoqin yet. I don't like him at all. I hate him more than anything. So you don't have a chance. Qing Minjing said with a smile. It was getting late. Jin Beibei decided not to go back after coming here. They chatted and laughed for a while and then went to bed ready to sleep. Xiaoqin, on the other hand, sneaked back to his room quickly and started decocting the medicinal materials. Today was the last course of treatment for this medicine. He would go to buy more medicine tomorrow. However, Xiaoqin still had more than 2 million left from last time. Together with the 10 million that concubine Xie gave him, he had more than enough money to buy the medicinal materials. There was no need to worry about it. However, he had not made a breakthrough after such a long time. Xiaoqin was a bit worried about the old witch of West Mountain who was about to fight with him. He had thought that he could make a breakthrough to the 5th level of the qi refining stage, but now it seemed that his wish was a bit slim. After the medicinal materials were decocted properly, Xiaoqin took them and started to practice. However, the result was still regrettable. He still did not make a breakthrough. This made Xiaoqin disappointed, but at the same time he was also a little puzzled. Could it be that there was something wrong with his cultivation? Why was it that he could break through very quickly in the past, but only when he was between the 4th and 5th layer of the qi refining stage he could not break through? He had taken several sets of medicinal materials. If it was in the past, he should have made a breakthrough long ago, right? After exercising and sweating, Xiaoqin did not make a breakthrough, so he went to the bathroom to take a shower. However, when Xiaoqin was applying bath lotion on his body, Xiaoqin's hand inadvertently scratched a jade pendant worn on his neck. The jade pendant actually fell from the red string. Moreover, when Xiaoqin pressed it, it broke into pieces. Xiaoqin was suddenly stunned. What is this situation? This jade pendant was a very good piece of top-quality jade. When Xiaoqin was young, second uncle brought it back when he went out to perform a trial mission. Since then Xiaoqin had been wearing it. Although there was no practical commemorative significance, he heard that a good jade pendant was good for the body. So Xiaoqin had never taken it off. However, how could such a high-quality jade pendant fall to the ground and break into pieces with just a light pressure? How is this possible? Could it be that Qing Minjing kicked or sat on it before and broke it? Or Xin Jingxian sat on it and broke it? Xiaoqin realized that these pretty girls all liked to sit on people's seats. Of course, Xiaoqin was just thinking about it casually. It was impossible for them to break it. The jade pendant was hard. It was impossible for them to break it with their strength. Even if this jade pendant did not have any commemorative value, Xiaoqin still felt a little heartache when an expensive jade pendant was broken. If this jade pendant were to be sold, it would fetch at least a few million. Spiritual jade? In Xiaoqin's ears, there was suddenly a surprised voice from Elder Heaven Ancestor. You actually have spiritual jade? Spiritual jade? What is that? Xiaoqin was slightly startled and asked. The formation of jade is very complicated. However, from the perspective of cultivation, it can be said that jade is nurtured by the essence of heaven and earth for thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of millions of years. The longer the time, the more spiritual energy in the jade. This kind of jade with high spiritual energy is called spiritual jade. Elder Heaven Ancestor did not hide it and explained directly. Nowadays, most of the time of formation of jade is relatively short. The amount of spiritual energy in the jade is too little, so it can only be called ordinary jade. Then this jade pendant of mine is spiritual jade? Xiaoqin roughly understood what Elder Heaven Ancestor meant. Yes, now I finally understand why your cultivation speed is so fast. Elder Sky said, even if you are a genius and have a special mantra, it is impossible for you to cultivate so fast. Now it is easy to explain. That is, you have spirit jades on you. Spirit jades are the best materials to assist in cultivation. Cultivators can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth from them and transform it into their own energy, which is commonly known as true qi. Then my cultivation speed has slowed down recently because the energy in the spiritual jade has been used up? Xiaochen was a little depressed. Previously, he thought that he was a genius that only appeared once in 10,000 years. In the end, it turned out that it was because he had the spiritual jade to help him cultivate. Now that the spiritual energy in the jade had been used up, he could not continue to break through. It is like this. Elder Heaven Ancestor said with certainty. However, even with the help of the spiritual jade, your cultivation speed is still fast enough. You do not need to be disappointed. Alright, then what should I do next? Get another spiritual jade? After listening to Elder Heaven Ancestor's advice, Xiaochen was full of confidence. Where? Elder Heaven Ancestor asked. Jewelry auction. Xiaochen said, as long as the quality and appearance of the jade are of the highest quality, it will be fine. Yes, but spiritual jade is something that can only be found by chance. It does not necessarily have to be of good quality. Good appearance jade is spiritual jade, but spiritual jade must have good quality and good appearance. Elder Sky said, the jade that has been formed for a short period of time may also be of good quality, and the jade produced in the same mining area may not be formed in the same era, so this thing is almost the same as trying to get lucky. Xiaochen was slightly surprised and asked, that is similar. How do I distinguish it? Use your hands. Elder Sky said, with your current strength, you won't be able to distinguish it with your eyes and perception. You can only use your hands to sense if there is heaven and earth spiritual chi inside. This is a cultivator's instinct. I don't need to teach you. You'll know when you try. So that is the case. Then I will go research and buy some spiritual jade tomorrow. Xiaochen found his bottleneck and was very happy. If he had enough spiritual jade, would he be able to quickly upgrade? Chapter 228. One piece of spiritual jade could upgrade 4 times, then 10 pieces of spiritual jade. Xiaochen was daydreaming, but his thoughts were interrupted by the Elder Heaven Ancestor. What are you thinking about? How can the amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi you absorb in the first level of chi refining stage be the same as that of a 5th level chi refining stage? If you get another piece of spiritual jade, it would be good if you can break through to the 5th level chi refining stage. Moreover, do you think that every spiritual jade is the same as your jade pendant? Xiaochen listened to the words of the Elder Heaven Ancestor, and suddenly smiled bitterly as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him, and he suddenly returned to reality from his fantasy. Then, I'll see if I can buy it first. Xiaochen sighed. It seemed that his previous thoughts were a bit unrealistic, but the road of cultivation was simply burning money. It was not a lie that the 3 generations of cultivation were poor, not to mention the cost of the medicinal herbs. Just the spiritual jade alone was not something that ordinary people could afford. Although the top quality jade stone might not necessarily be spiritual jade, but the spiritual jade was definitely a top quality jade stone. You can look at it, but you can't stop your medicinal herbs, you must continue to take them. You have stopped for a day, so the effect is a bit weaker. Cultivation is like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't move forward, you will fall back. The Elder Heaven Ancestor reminded. I understand. Xiaochen nodded. It was almost time. Xiaochen washed up and went to the morning street. A new day had begun. Kerlin's feelings toward Xiaochen were very complicated. On one hand, she was a bit afraid of Xiaochen, this hedonistic young master who did not care about human life at all. On the other hand, Kerlin was deeply grateful to Xiaochen. If it was not for Xiaochen, her innocence would have been ruined. Kerlin could not imagine, after being humiliated, whether she still had the courage to live. Kerlin woke up a little later than usual today, probably because she was frightened yesterday. Her parents had already gone to the morning market, but considering that she had been kidnapped, it was normal for her to sleep a lot. Kerlin crawled out of bed in a daze. She packed up and was about to rush to the morning street when a van stopped in front of her house. Today was Sun Rongqing's first day in power. He was very excited. In the past, although he was the eldest grandson of the Sun family, he was an illegitimate child. Sun Yuming recognized him later, so his position in the Sun family had always been awkward. The eldest grandson was not as good as Sun Rongjing. After all, Sun Rongjing was a direct descendant of the Sun family, and old Master Sun had been nurturing Sun Rongjing in the past. After all, Sun Rongqing hadn't been recognized outside, so old Master Sun didn't pay much attention to him. Moreover, even if he came back, old man Sun didn't care too much. He still cultivated Sun Rongjing. This made Sun Rongqing very unhappy, but he couldn't do anything about it. Who asked him to be born in a bad family? His mother was just a feet-washing girl in a nightclub. With this kind of background, he was lucky that he was a boy. If it was a girl, she probably wouldn't have the chance. However, all of this was in the past. He was finally awesome because his two younger brothers were too young. Even if he couldn't take over as the head of the Sun family in the future, he had already taken over the business of the Sun family and the Warrior Guild. When the time came, he would definitely be an important figure in the Sun family. Where's the woman that my dead brother caught yesterday? Sun Rongqin was a little excited as he sat in the van. This van was transporting the medicinal herbs to the Warrior Guild. In a while, when the Warrior Guild opened, he would go look for Medicine Master Sun with red hair. He believed that with Medicine Master Sun as a mole, this batch of medicinal herbs would all be taken by the Warrior Guild without any accidents. She ran away. After such a big incident yesterday, I didn't have the mood to care about that woman. I heard from young Master Jin's follower, Duo, that she ran away. Red Hair said flatteringly, haha, but that's because young Master Jin didn't have the fortune to enjoy it. That little girl, TSK, that small figure, TSK, I really have nothing to say. Is that so? Sun Rongqin was a little tempted after hearing this. He had always been enduring in the Sun family. Whatever Sun Rongjin had, he wanted to have too. However, he knew that it was temporarily impossible. Now that he was in a higher position, he also wanted to have the woman that Sun Rongjin wanted. This was actually a kind of almost perverted jealousy. It wasn't that he lacked a woman. It's still early now. Why don't we catch that little girl and find a forest near the Warrior Guild? It's just the right time for me to have some fun. Sure. Red Hair immediately nodded and said, I know where that little girl's house is. I'll bring young Master Qin to catch her. Okay. Sun Rongqin nodded. Red Hair was secretly happy. He purposely lured Sun Rongqin in this direction. Actually, even if Sun Rongqin didn't take the initiative to ask, he would find an excuse to mention Kerlin. But now it saved him a lot of trouble. In the end, Red Hair's car directly blocked the door of Kerlin's house. Once Kerlin went out, she was caught in the car. She was really unlucky to be kidnapped for 2 consecutive days. Xiao Chen was frying Youqiao on the morning street when he received a call from CFA. Hello, what's the situation? Xiao Chen asked. I didn't expect the Sun family's reaction to be so fast. They asked Sun Rongqin to send the medicinal ingredients to the warriors' market early in the morning. If we let them get ahead of us, then our Xia family's medicinal ingredients will be left with more than half of the unqualified ones. Xia Fei said with some worry. Then what you mean is for me to stop him on the way to the Warriors Guild? Xiao Chen thought for a while and asked. That would be best, but wouldn't it be too troublesome? Xia Fei hesitated for a while and asked. Of course, it won't be troublesome if I take someone's money to get rid of a disaster. Xiao Chen smiled and said, all right, I'll stop him. And then I'll have to trouble you. Sun Rongqin is driving a big van, and the car number is Song EXXXXX. Xia Fei didn't expect Xiao Chen to agree so readily, which made her feel relieved. The Xia family received a report from their informant this morning that Sun Rongqin brought a car full of medicinal ingredients to the warriors' market early in the morning, which made the Xia family very worried. However, the Xia family couldn't do anything. Xia Chaoning could only pin his hopes on Xia Fei and the relationship between Xia Fei and Xiao Chen. He hoped that Xia Fei could persuade the White Fox hero to stop Sun Rongqin early in the morning. In fact, Xia Fei was also a little nervous. After all, Sun Rongqin was on the way to the Warriors Guild. It seemed a little too rushed to ask the White Fox hero to stop him. She didn't know if he could make it in time. However, there was no other way. Xia Fei took the attitude of giving it a try and dialed Xiao Chen's number. Xiao Chen hung up the phone and said to Tang Tang, Tang Tang, there's something on my friend's side. I have to go first. Is your side okay? Xiao Chen was a little apologetic. He was focused on making money here, but he left Tang Tang behind. Of course it's okay. If you have something to do, go ahead. I used to sell it myself, so it's not a big deal. Tang Tang waved her hand and said indifferently. Alright, then I'll go first. Xiao Chen nodded. After saying goodbye to Tang Tang, Xiao Chen quickly left the morning street and went in the direction of the Warriors Guild. Xiao Chen ran all the way to the Warriors Guild. When he found a place where there was no one, Xiao Chen put on the mask and turned into the appearance of the White Fox. At this moment it was still early, and there was no van in front of the Warriors Guild. In other words, Sun Rongqin should not have arrived yet. Therefore, Xiao Chen simply walked forward and came to the intersection of the road to the Warriors Guild. He waited here for Sun Rongqin's arrival, which was a little like waiting for a rabbit to come to him. There was still some distance from the Warriors Guild, so he would not be discovered during the hijacking. Although Xiao Chen's identity as the White Fox was disguised, he still had an account in the Warriors Guild. If his points were frozen, it would be really bad. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Xiao Chen saw a van with the license plate that Xie Fei mentioned before slowly driving towards him. Xiao Chen quietly prepared to hijack the car. However, what surprised Xiao Chen was that the van did not drive in the direction of the Warriors Guild when it reached this intersection. Instead, it turned into a small forest on the right. This made Xiao Chen puzzled. Wasn't this Sun Rongqing's car? Why didn't it go to the Warriors Guild, but the direction of the small forest? Did it go the wrong way, or did it purposely find a place where there was no one else to rob them? Of course, Xiao Chen was just thinking about it. In his opinion, Sun Rongqing was not that stupid. He probably wanted to find a place to relieve himself, right? Xiao Chen followed without batting an eyelid. Sure enough, the van stopped in a dense forest. Then the door opened and the red-haired man jumped out of the car. In his hand he dragged a person out of the car. When he saw this person, Xiao Chen was shocked. Wasn't this Lin? Was she kidnapped again? Then he saw a man who looked similar to Sun Rongjin but was obviously more mature jump out of the car. Young Master Qin, the environment here is not bad. It's very elegant, suitable for a wild fight. Are you satisfied? The red-haired man asked flatteringly. Not bad. However, the ground is a little dirty. Find me a blanket to lay on the ground. Sun Rongqing said. No problem. The red-haired man quickly ran into the car and went to find a blanket. All right, no need to look. Xiao Chen walked over indifferently and said coldly. However, it gave Sun Rongqing, who was about to show off his power, a shock. The red-haired man who was looking for a blanket was also stunned. Who are you? The red-haired man asked in shock. You are White Fox? Sun Rongqing recognized Xiao Chen's identity. Previously, White Fox barged into Sun Rongjin's room and interrogated him. After that, the Sun family investigated White Fox. Sun Rongqing had seen the surveillance footage and knew that he was the ruthless person who killed Lu Dianbiao. You know me? That's right, it's me. Xiao Chen said indifferently. Chapter 229. What are you doing here? When Sun Rongqing heard White Fox admit his identity, he was so scared that he was sweating profusely. We have no grudges. The one who has a grudge against you is my younger brother, Sun Rongjin. He is already dead. Someone hired me to protect this girl. You captured her. Tell me, how should I deal with you? Xiao Chen looked at Sun Rongqing and said coldly, You have guts, don't you? You dare to capture someone whom I, hero White Fox, want to protect? Didn't you inquire about my name in Songning City? Hero White Fox, I naturally know your name, but we didn't know that this little girl is the person you want to protect. As the saying goes, ignorance is not a crime. Please forgive us. Sun Rongqing was a little panicked. Although he was a martial artist, he was only a stage 2 inner force martial artist. The person in front of him could even kill Lu Dianbiao. How would he dare to act rashly? In fact, Lin had already woken up when she was dragged out of the car, but she didn't scream. She knew her surroundings. This was a small forest. It was useless for her to scream. Instead, it would provoke the criminals to treat her more cruelly. But what Lin didn't expect was that someone would actually come to save her here. And this person seemed to be Xiao Chen. Although Xiao Chen was wearing a mask and his voice had changed, Lin had an intuition that the person in front of her was Xiao Chen. That day when she saw him with Zhu Yingxiong, she was even more certain of this matter. Moreover, from his figure and clothes, Lin could be sure that this was Xiao Chen wearing a chef's suit. Although paired with the White Fox mask, it was hard for people to associate this snow-white outfit with a chef's uniform. Lin Kuer had seen Xiao Chen every day in the morning market. How could she not think of it? Although Lin guessed it, she also understood that Xiao Chen probably wanted to hide his identity, so she didn't expose him. Instead, she quietly lay on the ground and pretended to be unconscious. You don't know? Xiao Chen looked at Sun Rongqing coldly. You think it's fine just because you say you don't know? Haven't you heard of the saying, a thief never leaves empty-handed? That, I can give you money, yes I can give you money. Sun Rongqing had just been promoted, and he didn't want to die on the first day because of such a trivial matter. That would be too much of a loss and he hadn't enjoyed it yet. Therefore, Sun Rongqing's first thought was to buy his life with money. Didn't they say that thieves never leave empty-handed? If I give you the money, you won't be running away empty-handed. Do you have money? How much money do you have? Xiao Chen asked. I have. Sun Rongqing suddenly thought, where do I have money? He had just been promoted for the first day. He had no money at all. In the Sun family, his status was much worse than Sun Rongqing's. Okay, if there's nothing else, I will leave. Before I go back on my words, you better not speak in front of me. Otherwise, I will kill you right now. As Xiaoqin said that, he carried Kerlin and placed her in the front passenger seat of the car. Kerlin's body stiffened. She was awake and didn't faint. When she was carried by Xiaoqin, it was a conditioned reflex. However, it made Xiaoqin stunned. Kerlin woke up. However, he didn't care. He thought that Kerlin was scared by Sun Rongqing. How could he know that Kerlin actually knew his identity? Xiaoqin directly got into the car and drove away, leaving Sun Rongqing and Red Hair looking at each other. Xiaoqin didn't say that he was targeting the Sun family's medicinal ingredients. Instead, he used Kerlin as an excuse. In other words, it was just a coincidence that the car left. The Sun family wouldn't suspect the Xia family for the time being. Where do you live? I will send you back. Xiaoqin's voice was still White Fox's. He asked Kerlin coldly, I was hired by someone to save you, so you don't have to thank me. Lin Kuer suddenly felt that it was a little funny. Xiaoqin's cool look was quite convincing, but Lin Kuer already knew his identity. She felt that it was quite funny. I live in the slums. But I'm studying at Songning City's #1 high school, you can send me there directly. She didn't know why Xiaoqin didn't reveal his identity, but Kerlin didn't expose him. In fact, Xiaoqin felt that the fewer people who knew about this identity, the better. It was fine if Kerlin didn't know. After all, White Fox was a very cold and ruthless character. Along the way, Xiaoqin didn't say a word. Kerlin naturally didn't find it appropriate to talk. When they arrived at the entrance of Songning City's first high school, Kerlin got out of the car. Xiaoqin drove the car and thought of a solution. This car of medicinal ingredients, where should I go? After thinking about it, Xiaoqin could only call Xie. White Fox, how is it? Is there any difficulty? If it's difficult, then forget it. Xie had been waiting anxiously for Xiaoqin's news. Don't be too forceful. If we do, the Sun clan will suspect that it was our Xie clan who did it. I'm afraid they'll disregard the consequences to take revenge. Oh, it's settled. Don't worry, the Sun family won't suspect you in a short period of time. These two incidents can be attributed to coincidence. Xiaoqin said indifferently, by the way, I robbed the Xie family's car of medicinal ingredients. Do you want them? Forget it. Xie hesitated and said, it's best to destroy that car of medicinal ingredients. If it were to flow into the warrior guild from our hands, Medicine Master Sun would probably see the problem at a glance. After all, every clan has a rough estimate of the quality of their medicinal herbs. So that's how it is. Xiaoqin nodded. The warrior market was guarded by Medicine Master Sun, which was a troublesome matter. As long as the medicinal ingredients were sold to the warrior market, Medicine Master Sun would not be able to get past him. He thought he could make some money with these medicinal ingredients. After all, although these medicinal ingredients were not very precious, they were worth tens of millions. Then I'll think of a way myself. For the time being, the Sun family's matter has been settled. If there's any news, let me know directly. Alright, thank you. Xie thanked him solemnly. She did not expect Xiaoqin to be so helpful. In the blink of an eye, it was settled. Although the Xie family also dared to rob, the Xie family had too many flaws. It would not be good if they were caught. The only people that Xiaoqin knew who could dispose of the stolen goods were the Xie family. However, Xiaoqin had a flash of inspiration and thought of a more suitable pharmacy. However, he did not know if that pharmacy could handle so many goods. Naturally, Xiaoqin thought of the pharmacy that he usually bought medicinal ingredients from. That pharmacy had such a complete range of medicinal ingredients. They should also purchase these more expensive medicinal ingredients. It was just that the amount of medicinal ingredients in the car was a little too much. However, it was always good to give it a try. Otherwise, it would be useless for Xiaoqin to keep so many medicinal ingredients. With this thought in mind, Xiaoqin directly drove to the pharmacy. After parking the car in front of the pharmacy, Xiaoqin got out of the car. At the counter of the pharmacy, there was still a young girl reading a book. However, based on the young girl's attire and Xiaoqin's intuition, this person should still be Hong Zhu and not Hong Yan. As expected, the moment Xiaoqin entered the door, Hong Zhu's enchanting voice rang out. Handsome, why didn't you come last night? Shouldn't you be here to buy medicinal ingredients last night? You made this little sister wait for you all night, but you didn't come to chat with this little sister. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.